Good. We'll call the meeting to order at 9:06. And if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We're there now. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, into roll call. Mr. Lincoln here. Mr. Kaag is not here. Ms. Drobnick is not here. Mr. Becker is not here. Mr. Wert, Ms. Bressler,
Here.
Mr. Shaver is not here. Mayor Kaag is not here. Mr. Murray.
Here.
Yeah, while you're getting.
You put both legs under it, buddy.
We did not hold an executive session this morning, so there are no agenda amendments coming out of that. That obviously didn't exist. I'll open the floor to public comment. Jacko, Maureen. All right, close the floor to public comment and go into the borough manager's report.
Good morning, everybody. So we do have 3 action items this morning. First one is consideration to issue a letter of support of or denial of 2 variance requests to the zoning hearing board to construct 2 semi-detached dwellings on the lot known as 400 Walnut Street.
All right, so before you, SDE did take a look at the variance application, and their thoughts and opinions are before you.
So this lot is almost half the size it needs to be? Is that how I'm reading that?
It's not the full size.
So it's required 3,000 per dwelling, which would be 6,000 for the 2, and they're at 4,200.
Correct.
A little tight.
Yeah. Like they could get away with 1.
Yeah. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Thoughts?
Can you speak intelligently on it?
I will try. This is the first I'm seeing this, so I'm just. So, you know, if you're not familiar with it, if you can envision the DJ's office directly across the street, at the corner of Olive and Walnut, there is a house there. It has a side yard that has a relatively decent slope to it that goes up to the corner there. That's been a separate parcel probably forever. It was probably one of those things, just like my neighbor, in where people would buy 2 lots back in the day with the thought of, you know, building something next door at some point and then never doing it. I know for years Jim Gallen owned both the house and the lot. And then before Jim passed away, he sold it. And I don't know, I thought the person bought both. I could be wrong. With the intent of eventually building on it. So, yeah. So if you take,
You want to put 2 houses on that?
yeah, yes,
Facing Olive Street, they want to do.
facing Olive.
Yeah. So, and that would take away the 3 or 4 parking spaces there on the Olive Street
Olive.
right there, because they would have drive.
Since you have control of the mouse, could you look up the parcel in question on Google Maps?
Actually, Helen.
Oh, sorry, Helen, sorry. I saw you with the mouse in your hand.
Helen, just minimum.
Thought you had
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I don't like, I
Just
mean,
Google Maps,
Fronting on this street.
so why would they take parking spaces away?
because they're gonna have drive-in entrances. They're gonna have.
No, they're not.
No, that's what they have intended.
Yeah, deal killer. Sorry. Nope. I'm a total no. Yeah.
That's all they thought they were getting away with it.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, there's parking spaces out front. There's public parking. Everybody else in that area parks publicly. You don't get a little private driveway just because you want one. Sorry for sounding like a grumpy old workman here, but like that, I didn't know that was part of the deal.
Do we have a sketch plan?
There was. All right.
You wanna see?
Yes.
Where is that at? Down further?
No, turn directly around, like,
The right-
right there. Turn, keep on, keep on.
The big trees are.
Southeast.
Right there.
Okay,
That,
yes.
Yes,
they think that they're gonna squeeze two parcels onto that.
Facing Olive Street.
spacing olive with
Facing olive.
driveways.
Wow.
Yeah, wow is right.
It's ambitious.
That,
I thought it was like semis facing Walnut.
Right.
Is what I thought.
And I could potentially see one unit
Mhm.
facing Walnut, but two facing Olive doesn't.
Well, and one
Makes sense.
unit would fit the lot size.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, they still
4,200
need
and they
relief on-
wanted 3,000.
Yard setbacks.
So, okay, so let's just like, so their plan, so that then they'd have to subdivide the parcel anyway. If you're putting two on there, right? So eventually you're gonna have to
They're
sub,
condoed and not be simple lots.
I mean, they're two separate residences, so. Like, based on what our saldo says. And what the NPC says, and what good. Zoning and planning say is that when they're separate residences, they're separate lots. They're separate parcels. Cause that makes all sort of problems later on down the road, as we can see right down the hill here. Where the townhomes on Second were never divided up, and now they're on one big fat piece of property that we still haven't fixed after 35 years of sitting down there. Cause they never got filed properly. And I can see something like that happening here down the road. So you're gonna have to ask for a subdivision for a already skinny lot that now you want to like turn into like two even smaller lots. And we lose parking because you want to put a driveway in the front of a house in an area of the borough where no one else has that. So you're starting to like eat into the character of the neighborhood because you want driveways in front of houses. So the public gets less space because you want driveways on your two little rinky dink lots. Sorry for sound, like this is a dumb plan.
Oh,
And if the applicant was here, I'd be like, sorry, your plan is dumb.
man, that, the person with the house behind them, I'd be,
Right.
they have to be opened up on the
Uh-huh.
property. And there's only sewer out on, Walnut Street, so they have to run both sewer lines. One to the other property.
Hmm.
The sewer on, for Olive comes out the back of both the homes.
The property line, if you looked, is probably only about up the side of that other house. It's probably quite close.
Sidewalk on the
Probably
side.
really close.
It's probably only maybe like 3 or 4 feet, maybe,
Probably right here.
because
That is
in
tiny.
my neighborhood, like when you have them separated like that, there's a couple. The property line is really close to the other duplex. To the tune of like 3 or 4 feet.
Mm-hmm. Totally fits in with the character.
Yeah.
Lots of curb appeal with only windows.
Is it a barn or a house?
Yeah, yeah, hard to say, because it really does look like a barn, doesn't it?
It's definitely like a townhouse type that they're doing in the bigger suburbs, but Chatto has already thrown a denial on it. So that's why it's gotta go to zoning hearing.
Well, you have to.
Right.
Like the two tiny windows on the back for each house.
Yeah, right?
Can you speak out of them in case there's an emergency?
The bathroom window, probably not.
And the way it sounded, it was gonna be like a super tiny backyard.
There's gonna be no.
Has
I
to
mean,
be. They could basically crawl out one of these back windows into one of the side windows of their neighbors.
Dean, what are you asking for?
A denial or?
Or
Well, it's
a
not-
letter of
Or
support.
letter support.
No, it doesn't, it's not us to deny. That's a zoning hearing board on these variances, but if you're asking for a letter of support or concern, which it sounds like you are, I would gladly make a motion to have staff write a letter of concern on behalf of Borough Council.
Sounds good.
Second.
All right, motion made by Mr. Wert, second by Mr. Lincoln, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. There you go.
Second action item, this is long overdue. It's been back and forth and finally back to us. Consideration to enter into a lease agreement with the Wyomissing School District for a junior high baseball program down at the pavilion and playground.
All right.
Dan was happy with it.
As you remember, their old ball field was at Wyomissing Hills. Currently, center field is being eaten up by the new construction, so they didn't exactly want it to be a green monster, I guess. So they're looking at our baseball field.
Which honestly, I think it would be a welcome addition.
Domino effect, because I mean, if it goes well over the summer, maybe a tournament or something like that. Or other organizations want to host baseball games because it's lined for junior high
Well,
varsity.
if Legion wants to get involved or if city
Legion's kind
county
of starting
starts
to
up
fade
again.
out. Same with city county.
Really?
Oh yeah, Legion isn't getting the numbers they used to at all.
Huh.
City county is virtually defunct. So,
They used to have to turn the kids away.
oh yeah,
Mhm.
now
I've
kids
been
don't want to play a whole lot
Yeah,
anymore.
that
And they're
you get
playing a
a
lot
lot
of
of
travel.
Yeah, the travel ball took. over.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think of that.
Which we used to have travel teams down there years ago.
Mhm.
Legion was like where all the best kids played.
Oh yeah, tryouts and all.
Huh.
And the nice thing about this is we had a conversation with Wire the other month. I told him I wasn't doing them with the ball field. We had to sign an agreement because we're waiting to cost for everything so far.
Yeah, where did we land with maintenance and everything? Are we doing it and then that's
Uh,
accounted for in the lease, or are they coming in and doing?
They are going to
things?
come in, I haven't seen the new agreement, but we agreed upon, they were gonna come in twice a week and drag the field.
Mhm. And they'll line it previous.
And they
to
would line the
games.
field for themselves. We're not gonna line it. They would be lining, they're responsible for the lining, they're responsible for the paint, or whatever they use, lime or paint, and they're gonna drag it twice the field twice a week, so.
Yeah. So
Bus cutting the grass and staying on top of the.
yeah, so
Weeds.
it's section 10. The borough is responsible for mowing of the property, the maintenance of the ground structures, fencing, and yep. Dragging a ball field one time per week, and public works staff will mop bathrooms after each game for an additional $25 per game. The school district is responsible for the dragging and lining of the ball field, the disposal of any discarded paper and trash, including inside the bathroom facilities, and then we're each responsible for 1/2 of the cost of the dirt and clay needed for the ball field. That makes sense. Do we have any questions on that? They're also paying us $100 per club
$100 per game.
per game.
So I think they said like seven to 9 games. So I think we were looking at like a $1,500 check. Cause they're gonna pay it one time upfront before the
gonna-
season starts.
And my commission is going to sell concessions too during games.
So we can try to
We'll make a
some
couple
money.
bucks off of concession items too.
The commission's in favor of this?
And it's written in here that the school district doesn't operate concessions during games or practices, and they don't use the concession area, so.
Right.
It's free reign for us. All right, any
So
questions?
it's games, $100 per game, but there's also practices.
Yeah, we
Right.
basically give the field to them so they can practice also.
During weekdays.
Yeah, nothing on the weekends.
Any questions? Otherwise, looking for approval.
I'll move.
Motion made by Mr. Wert,
Second.
second by Ms. Bressler, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, and then the last item is consideration of authorizing the execution of DCED and tax collector audit engagement letters for 2023, 2024, and 2025 audits with Malley.
Have we gotten, is that their proposal for a contract, a 3-year contract?
I believe so.
Well, okay. You said they did.
Yeah. 1,000.
Okay.
Like 5,500.
Did they give any indication as to why they needed to bump it like almost $2,000? And is that the same price over the life of the 3 years?
It's 18,018.5 and
I know last time, maybe it was last time, I know at least one time in the past, I mean, not to be overly blunt about it, but we just said, sorry, not paying it. We'll just go somewhere else. And then they said, oh, no, we'll be happy to give you the old price.
yeah.
Didn't that happen in the
Well,
past?
didn't we look at like Herbine or somebody else at one point?
Yeah, and they got nervous in the service because it seemed like this contract actually was what,
Switched.
we're- yeah.
Oh, right.
We used to be, yeah, we did our RKL for
RKL.
many years. And then they started getting obscene with their pricing. It was literally like highway robbery prices.
5,000.
It was goofy. And that was like
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Mhm.
This
uh,
really compared to that.
I don't know.
I mean, we can shop it.
Not that they do a bad,
I
I
mean,
mean, do
it's
we
not
think?
shocking that it's gone up, especially with
Everything else.
everything else going on right now.
Yeah. It's just the percentage increase
Yeah.
versus, like we just have to be, I mean, we are paying with taxpayer funds.
Absolutely.
So
I
like,
just got that yesterday, so I can have a conversation with him to see if we can drop it down a little bit.
Should probably shop it around.
yeah, I mean, they seem to always be relatively good to us. It's just, what do I know, right? Your legacy clients, you would seem to think that you would try to retain your legacy clients, just like any business. If I'm Comcast, it's harder for me to bring on new customers versus retain my old customers. So, you kind of try to do what you can to make sure that your older customers are being treated in such a way. I mean, we just have to know why. Why is it going up $2,000? Is there a justification for that? We're gonna sit here in a couple of minutes and have to get out our pencils and sharpen them really close to be able to make sure that we have the money for next year. So like $2,000 is $2,000. I don't know.
Or I can definitely have a conversation with him.
Okay. We go with tabling that.
Yep.
All right. Get into the budget.
All right, before you should have a letter,
It's like really weird.
State of the Union, for where the borough is situated right now. Hopefully, everybody had a chance to read it. You're not gonna make me read it word for word.
Nope.
Recite
Letter
it,
by
please.
Doesn't have to be read into the record, Dean. You're
Okay.
good.
But we are in good shape to finish this year. Last year, we were scheduled to be in a deficit, but the team strapped the boots on and we came out ahead. So I think we're in good shape this year. And that seems to be like our past practice for the past few years. That we figure we're gonna go into a deficit and we end up with money at the end, so. Looking at a similar thing, just a little bit higher, not as bad as last year. But nonetheless. Where do we want to start?
There were changes since last time, so we can go down and see if there was
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, we can go through the regular fund balance first, and then we can go department by department. If that makes sense.
I did talk to all the department heads and asked them to shave at least 10% back where they could, so. Rich, I don't know if you got with Jeanette to show her yours. I know.
Yeah, I have some notes on some.
Okay.
We did discuss the one with the vehicles.
Okay.
So we're estimating the general fund balance at the end of the year. Carrying forward to next year then. I did. and both these were entered in there. Talking with, Jim Hunt for Pro-Timer, we have to, pay $100 per filing for the delinquent people. So we still are going to send them another delinquent letter. And then after that, they're gonna send out a letter saying that they're going to district justice level. So he thinks a few will be done this year to need the $100 to file with the courts. So I did put in, $1,000 for this year. And but he thinks the lion's share of things are gonna be happening next year, so I put in 40,000, for next year. But it's really, yeah, how many people are gonna see once they get the letter saying that they're going to do it. Also, so in this 40,000, that is the $100 recouping. Because I know that's the fee plus whatever amount that we do. So, and I know when we get money from today, there are other fine things, they don't separate out what's the fine amount, what's you know, the cost of sending to them. So then that's why I incorporated it all together. But maybe, I mean, going forward, we can figure out a better way.
Would it be helpful to ask Eric's office to break that down a little bit better if they could? Is that possible?
I really haven't ever had a conversation with them. I'm not Tracy. And ask them.
I mean, do you think it'll help you guys?
It would on the. I think it would help, you know, to make things clearer, so we know exactly what is the tax and what is the fine.
Okay,
But there's penalties in there, there's.
right, yeah, that's what I'm saying, like, and the only reason I'm asking is I've like learned a lot by living next to the constable. A very, very, very aggressive constable who picks people up all the time on these warrants for things like not cutting your grass and blah, 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 because they have a warrant out, and, you know, and he will find you, and he does. And so he's learned how that's all broken down, because it's like his fees, it's the late, it's it's like there's so much that goes, that final number that you're required to pay is probably 6 or 7 different things, and we're getting maybe one of those. So yeah, like, and then for what, you know, I mean, for what stuff, some stuff is,
Yeah, you get the reports now, it does say if it's a traffic or if it's a CEO fine, it doesn't say what's incorporated.
Right, it doesn't give us what the fine is and what the penalty is on
Yeah.
that. We don't, it's just one lump sum.
I wonder how difficult it would be for his staff to add another layer of refinement to that. Would it be, because it would help us out. I mean, of course. Oh, really? Oh, it's like they're working on like dinosaur technology.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I mean,
It's
it's
a year
worth,
of coding and they can get it.
right.
right
It's worth a question.
I think they gave you a sheet that they're using up there, because he has to see what each thing is.
Yeah, there must be.
If he sends you, send you a copy of the docket, I mean,
I can certainly check with them, but right now it's.
Yeah, I think it's another layer of detail that might help us out
Yeah,
to
really
anticipate.
fine, they're separated from the tax and the license too.
Right, yeah. You look at the docket sheet, I mean, you know, you go into the database, you can kind of see it to some degree. That's,
Maybe just scan it to us, and we would need 500 pages.
yeah. It's gotta be a way how you can set up some kind of macro or something or whatever to do that. I mean, maybe the county, someone in the county can help their office with that, because I mean, they're county funded. You know, like they're, you know, like it's a county office technically. I mean, it's county court system, you know, tied to the county court system. So, you know, somebody, like if they've got a tech issue in their office, who are they calling? Well, they're calling whoever the county's tech vendor is to come in to fix stuff, right? Unless I'm wrong. They don't decide that stuff themselves. That's a one big county thing. So I'm sure, hey, you know, West Reading is asking us for this. Is this possible? Can we do this? And how do we do this easily? Is that even possible? And if they say, oh, can't. All right, well, you know.
I do know that if they are on a payment plan, it will show the total value and then how much they're paying. And then it will just be on the next month as the same thing as
Right.
the amount and then the payment that they're making. So,
Right, $40 here, 25 bucks here.
Yeah. It's 25 bucks every,
Yeah, every month, yeah.
And that's a combination of everything too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can check in with.
Yeah, and it's a moving target, I know, because even when someone's on a payment plan, if they, as soon as they stop paying, another warrant, and then it's all over again, and then now it's the old payment versus the new stuff because you didn't pay your $40, and now you're right back in front of the judge again because you're a knucklehead. All right, sorry.
They are not gonna file though for just the $35 license fee. It wouldn't be, worth a while to spend $100 to file to get 35. We're just gonna do that. These vehicles.
Well, yeah, it hasn't really moved. So we're not thinking it's gonna happen this year just yet now. So there's but we got some kind of decent news yesterday that there's somebody sniffing around it, so keeping our fingers crossed.
That was based on the recommendation from personnel. Who did meet last week.
Was that 3 or 4 years?
3.
Oh. Well, 2027 is in there too, but.
Well, I mean, if it happens, as long as I'm still here.
I did put in a higher amount for that. Oh, you're right, Phil, it was 15,750. So it is over 2,000. 14% increase.
We could always send the pit bull out and twist some arms too.
Oh.
The drag.
Do you know who's going to represent us in court when? We have a
John,
volunteer.
So, you seem very excited to go.
Hey.
John Muir should be representing us on that as far as, no, wait, for the, oh, I was thinking of down at the hospital, okay.
Not that.
No,
I mean, Jim Hunt, does work come, are they gonna represent us when we go to DJ?
I would hope so. I don't
That would
know.
be an extra
We
cost, I
we can do it.
I would think they're gonna
Yeah.
absolutely bill us for court time.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, well, I mean, I don't think they have any like really truly local offices, do they? Aren't Berkheimer, their closest geographical office, I think, is out of county, isn't it? At least it's, if you go on their website, there's no Berk's office listed on their website.
Yeah, I've never really asked.
I know we were told that they had a legal team to go after stuff like that, but
Not illegal.
if-
I think they're gonna be running to the DJ.
But
every
I
other
don't-
day.
Yeah,
no, that's, if
they're not.
we
going.
need to represent ourselves, that's fine.
I mean, Jack is a court.
So excited.
I can tell.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Chad goes to court.
Yeah.
For code stuff. As long as, I mean, Helen, like what the appropriate way to handle, stuff, whether you
I'll be
need,
nice.
yeah, it's not a question of being nice or not nice, but just,
I will represent myself.
yeah, I don't think you would not. It's more of like a procedural thing to be able to like walk in and have all of the evidence there to be.
Documentation.
Oh, right, exactly, right, like, this was filed then, this letter was sent here, this notice was given, so-and-so still didn't pay,
Yeah,
we're asking the court to consider whatever.
yeah, I've done actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if staff is willing to do it and you seem more of an eager beaver than I have seen in a while.
This year was just a rough year. We weren't expecting that, so we should be in better shape next year with legal terms.
Real quick question. Does some on the revenue sides, especially some of the permitting and projections, do they reflect the new fee schedule?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
That was put in actually.
Okay. I assumed it did. I just wanted to, yeah.
Vehicle. This year and
Well, that's
Based on a newer fleet.
in anticipation that we spent the money that we needed to for the Explorer this year. Seems to be running good right now, so I knocked it back a little bit, and then going forward the following year, we in anticipation of getting a new vehicle. So that should knock that back pretty good then.
oh. Very budget. For next year.
Estimate. Yeah, it was a 25. Swing.
Yeah, it was 30 before.
Yeah, just a couple of changes, going through the budget this week, and I apologize, I was a little late because I was trying to comb through a lot of them.
Do it on the fly.
Sure. The first one I think you got, we originally, put in a request for $105,000 for vehicles. We were able to get, believe what we think is the best financing terms we can on that vehicle. So that dropped that line down to 66,167. So that was almost a $40,000 drop from.
Is that what we have on the table?
Yeah, that should be reflected on what you have now. What's that?
That's
410,336.
10, 3, 3.
That should be.
Is that this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
Any questions on vehicle replacements? So we can move on to the next one.
I can get the 174. It's special event overtime. What we're seeing, we have a couple more events coming up, but nothing that's going to be significant. There's requests just for that 25 to 55. I think we can drop that down to 20 for next year. $252 technology fees. The request was for 110 next year. We can drop it down to 100 even. We can probably drop that down to, yeah, that'll work.
Go for the next one.
And the other one I have is, all the way down the bottom, 740 major equipment purchases. It's sitting at 15, we can pull that down to 12.
And is that up based on new radios, right?
Yes,
Partially.
yes.
Starting to 3.734.
What was it? 3.734?
With the fee schedule. It's also a 3.
That was discussed at personnel as well.
Same deal.
That, and I believe that would just be having the.
Yes.
That would be no extra summer.
No. Yep.
So we're not doing any summer positions? Is that,
No, we'll have that one full-time, part-timer, becomes a babysitting service. A couple years ago, I
Okay.
tried to stop it too. And we ran over trees, we ran over the light pole this year, we took out a building one year down there. It becomes a babysitting service, and then they come and go, and they gotta go back to school for this, I can't plan around it, it becomes.
Is what it is, right?
Oh, yeah, and don't get me wrong, I was a kid, I'm on a summer break, last thing I want to be tied down to a job, you know?
yeah,
I mean, we've been doing that for a long time. You have a sense as to whether or not you're actually getting out of it what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice
We were-
idea.
We were at 3, we kept on, actually, and I don't know, you were around probably, the year he got his hip replaced, I was down to 4 guys that summer. And you guys want to hire 3, I asked to put none because it would have been that much more of a nuisance for me. Just gave me 3, and that was the other one guy quit, the other guy took out the building. Because I did have you had to need supervisions with them oftentimes.
right.
Yeah. I just remember years ago, I was here one summer morning, we were doing CPR training. And the summer guys came in for the CPR training and just sat back there and like goofed off like the whole 2 or 3 hours we were there to get certified, just being like 8th grade boys sitting in math class. I was like, maybe you want to shut up and pay attention, but
Yeah, they just gained freedom.
Yeah. So very small,
Yeah,
window into what you're talking about.
yeah. I talked about, we're going to buy the brush hog, the stump grinder. I'm gonna hold off on this, brush hog. I made friends with the city guys now. And they got a new one. They second borrow theirs if need be.
It's all because of Polly, isn't it?
Holy's part of it, yes. Him and me and Mr. Tim Kroll, we're on
Anybody?
good terms now.
Good, good.
Where is?
It's down at the garage.
It's still down there. I'm like,
Yeah.
where did he meander to?
You said you're gonna hold up on the brush hog, right? Not the stump grinder.
Not the stump grinder.
Do we need to brush? I mean, is that something we use a lot of? Like, is there a lot of brushing? We need to get it really in there to really.
Well, I like to use this down around the creek and stuff,
Oh, yeah,
especially now
that's
we
what I would
have the,
think.
we rented them in years past. I think until we got one here and got it back, it was almost 10 grand to rent.
Yeah.
Because when you rent them off them, they won't give you the whole,
Mhm.
you gotta rent the whole piece off them
Right.
and they gotta deliver it and then. So,
And have forbid a little part gets bent on it, then they want to charge you double to fix it.
Hmm.
So it's worthwhile just to get.
Yeah.
and I have one for my skid loader, but it only stays flat. Well, I won't buy this one for the mini excavators you bought the other year, because I can reach down to the embankments with it and clear
On the
that
arm
way.
and kind of,
Yep, and clear
take
down
it
all
back
the
and forth.
embankments.
Articulate.
Yeah.
that sounds like it would be really fun to use. I was the guy.
Unless you guys leaned it a little too far.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
The 141,860, but they move that the general fund has to put into capital fund to pay for all of it. That's what we-
Going back to Public Works for a second. How's the Jeff's mowing been doing for us in the cloverleaf?
Fantastic.
I mean, it looks great.
Yeah.
They were just there
Been
yesterday.
Good to work with.
Yeah, he's been easy to work with. I'm gonna call him now and tell him I'm done. I don't need him no more for the rest of the year. I'm coming back and
I saw him not only mowing yesterday when I came home, but they actually had guys out weed whacking. Like, if you're coming off the exit from the bypass to come up right there, that's the way I come home from work. And there were guys there yesterday. They were weed whacking where you have like concrete barriers.
yeah.
Mhm.
And you can't get the mower there. They jumped off and got out and they trimmed that all up around the concrete barriers,
They've been
which I
clean-
thought I was like, that's an extra nice little detail to have someone to see, like that they're not happy with the work, so they're staying until it's done.
That was early in the morning or evening.
Afternoon.
Yeah, because they've been trying to do it like early in the morning, afternoon, so they're not in, and they actually follow West Reading. So like he always says to me, I know when Arts in the Avenue, I know when Fall Fest is. I'll come the week of, so it looks freshly cut. You don't have to worry about it's a little high.
Have
We've
it
been
locked down for next year is my real question.
We can. And the nice part is we made money off them.
You mean it didn't cost us?
Didn't cost us
That's
anything.
right. Didn't cost us anything. I think is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, no, I was like, it looked good, and I saw two guys with weed whackers going around stuff.
And they do more than I could. And I mean, honestly,
was-
they take a big care better than I could.
Yeah.
And they're consistent. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I saw it more than maybe once where it looked like a little longer than it could have been, but they.
Yeah.
seem
Like when they pick out
stay
all
on
the
top of
yard
it.
signs and throw them down onto a pile.
Yes.
They didn't do that yesterday, which would have been nice.
We can
But,
dream.
Yeah, and the nice thing is I mean, I called him once or twice to make sure everything's all right, see everything I can help, and he called me once or twice, but it's never, hey, listen, you missed, you didn't do this.
Yeah.
I never had that issue with him. He's been fantastic.
Good.
By the way, it's GL code 01438 375.
Yeah.
should be $3,800. We just received an invoice
The last one for nine.
a day or two ago for $950. I believe it's the last one.
But apparently might get one more.
Oh, really? We're at,
If he said he was down there yesterday, I don't know what the date said.
That was,
well, we just got it a couple days ago.
Yeah,
I think it was for October.
yeah, like I said, I'll check on the thing and see. Cause I'm gonna tell him, if not, he needs that now. He's done now, you know?
Yeah, I don't think we need another moment.
No.
Okay, so the revenue for that was $7,730.
Yeah, and you're probably gonna get half of it. I think, was it 4.25 or something like that, 450? No, every month is what, 850?
Well, they pay us
950.
2 months, like July and August, they pay us.
No, I mean, for the mowings,
It's $950.
it's 950. So you get another 475 out of that, because that'd be one, worst case scenario, you get another 475 out of that. Yeah.
Okay, so that'll bring it to 42.75. So we're still,
And being that that's under, I don't have to bid that then? Anything under 11,000, I have to bid.
Yeah, the number,
Well,
I think.
I think you,
Those
you can just
change.
do phone,
Yeah, you
phone
need
bids, not
phone bids.
3 phone bids.
You don't
Yeah.
do the full.
Because I know I'm gonna get a phone call next year from some individual.
Mhm.
that. A whole lot of savings.
There's maybe potential a little bit more. I was just looking on the revenue side of things under LST. You know, we'll have to decide how much. So we budgeted 377 flat. Year-end estimate is a little over 400,000. We're budgeting 401. So I'm looking at two numbers here. The almost around $23,000 difference regarding our budget this year versus what we collected. Plus going out to 2025, the estimate is 413. I wonder if there's a happy point between 400 and 413 for next year that is reasonable. Something like 407 or 408 or something like that.
Yeah, Paul did think that Becky's estimates were a little on the low side, but I stuck with her estimates.
He said that multiple times during that phone call.
Yeah.
They're very conservative with
So,
their,
I guess,
But we've also seen his inflated estimates in years past come back to bite us a
I
little
think
bit.
there's a
so
happy medium there.
There's probably.
I mean, we just have to, if we're okay with that, we just have to decide what number we're happy with. Is, 410 too aggressive?
Well, I guess
I mean, yeah, I mean, look at the, sorry. I mean, I keep looking at that 377 and that 400. I mean, it's a $23,000 swing. Are businesses in the borough cutting back on employees, or are they not? Are we having more businesses come online that will actually have full-time employees, getting paid not under the table or whatever? That we think that more employees will mean more LST or more EIT and all this stuff. I don't know if we are. I'm trying to think of something that I'm aware of this upcoming year that might be adding even more employees to the borough. Or
what caused the $100,000 increase from 2022?
2022 to 2023?
Yeah,
Well, I would
mean,
guess that
could
you're still
be-
crawling out of a COVID hole
maybe.
to some degree, or I remember something else. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that was a huge bump too.
I mean, that's a big increase.
That's a big increase. So
in
either
employment.
the businesses are gangbusters and they're like, keep having to like add people. You know, because remember, like every employee is $52. Every employee, whether it's at a salon, or whether it's at Wendy's or whatever, $52. Like that.
Well, you remember, I think that we were also very conservative with that number because as we were planning this, the Reading Hospital also let go a whole slew of
And that's the other-
executives, and we weren't sure what else could be coming down the
Right.
pike, so we were very conservative with what the
Sure.
hospital was doing.
Well, I can tell you, when Dean and I meet with the hospital folks at the foundation meetings, the task force meetings, you know, they can't find people. So that tells me that they're not cutting. They are
Struggling.
doing everything they can to find people to work there because they regardless of what their numbers say, they still have a hospital to run and you need employees to run a hospital. You know, so you can't cut to the bone too much until there's nobody else to do the work anymore, else you have no more hospital. So apparently their bonuses, signing bonuses, hourly rates, all that stuff have all gone up because the economy's tight, you know. There's, job numbers yesterday were 150,000 added to the economy in October, which in a normal month, that'd be like gangbusters. And that was like considered like low because we're adding something like 350,000 every month, which is ridiculous, you know. So I don't think people are going to be cutting employees anytime soon, including the hospital.
Well, they keep on trying to force out all the private stuff out of the DOB building and doing stuff in-house now too.
Right.
They still
Yeah.
pay LST for it, though.
Right.
Doesn't matter if they're for-profit or non-profit, we still get. the
Their
LST.
employees still, right. I mean, if you went to their HR site right now and just looked at how many vacancies they have on this campus alone, I would venture to guess that's probably in the hundreds of positions, everything from janitorial staff to landscaping to all the way up to the top. You know, and I also know that there's, people finding other opportunities, other places that worked for Tower because, the job market's tight. And if you can get paid somewhere else, or if you feel like you get treated a little bit better somewhere else, you may skip out just like anybody. So I don't know. All I'm trying to say is I feel like that number can be massaged a little to the upside and that we're not undercutting ourselves and being overly optimistic doing that. But what that number is, we have to come to a consensus here. I don't have a magic ball.
I think 410 is probably a little too high. But I guess maybe 405, 406.
They're right in the middle.
408. Can you give me 8?
That'd be, I don't know.
Go fish.
Well, 4075.
There you go.
Sure, let's complicate it.
407.
407,
Alright.
350.
Just so we can move on past this GL code.
I'm finding this money, Lineaweaver.
525.
You found us $6,000, only 700 and
Well, so if that estimate is low, are there other estimates in that same general area in the GL codes that we can't bump up as well? Is there anything else that if we think her numbers are low? We don't have to be super Jansen aggressive. I mean, if I look at business privilege tax, having Berkheimer be a little bit more aggressive on getting folks to pay up and understand that that letter is not something to be ignored when you get it. Is 240 low? It looks like 240 projected out for the next couple of years as well in that line item. Well, that sure as heck is not going to be the case, whether it's to the lower side or the upper side. It's not going to stay the same.
I was disappointed that he didn't give us a higher number there. I was thinking that would be higher, so. If he's gonna be aggressively pursuing this and it's gonna be 5,000 more, that's not aggressive pursuing.
And when we have hundreds of accounts that are currently not paying, whether it's somebody with one rental property and it'll be $50 a year versus perhaps maybe even like a business that it's hundreds, if not thousands a year. Well, the message is going to get out. It's, whether you didn't really know or your accountant dropped the ball like mine did,
You would you?
I didn't know it was on the list until I got the nasty grant from Berkheimer, and then I called up my accountant and let her know in uncertain terms that this is not a good thing. I'm the guy that sits here and now I didn't pay my business. Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm like, well, you should be.
Jim, do you have any comments on that? No? Okay.
First time ever.
Is he Jim's proxy?
He's sitting in the chair, so.
Yeah. All right. Well, how does the rest of us feel? It's 240 for next year. Do we feel like there's wiggle room, knowing what we know about how Berkheimer is going after folks and getting people? It's about, what's the word I'm thinking of? Just getting folks knowledgeable of the fact that A, this is a thing, and B, we're not going away.
I think once they realize that they're gonna be chased.
Compliance, that's the word I
Yeah.
want, compliance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're gonna be looked at and then followed up with to pay these taxes. They're gonna pay them before they have to go to the DJ's office or
Right.
anywhere else or get fined or penalties.
Sure.
So I think that number could go up, but
So there's 360 of them that, are being pursued. They're only going up 5,000. Haven't paid for it.
Well, even just looking at our budget from last year, what we're moving to is the exact same numbers we had last year. When you look at current year and prior years, the only thing that we're getting more out of is the court fees. But otherwise, the numbers are exactly the same. So we're not anticipating any
it's like
movement there.
10,000 more
That-
than
that doesn't
21 to
make sense.
22.
Well, like current year went from, well, even just looking at estimates, it's gone from 235 to 240. And then prior years is dropping from 65 to 60. So we're stagnant at the same number year over year.
Right.
So if we don't,
I think-
especially thinking that we're going to find more.
Correct.
Theoretically, that number should be higher at some point. Whether that's prior years paying up or current years paying up or both.
I got a little ignorance here, so please bear with me. The transfer from water fund, that's to reimburse for labor and stuff, right? Labor and expenses. I ran into by Dean. We put $100,000 in the budget to do 6th Avenue. The 0-100 block. I believe my guys could do that for about between 25 and 30. Now, if that's the case, I give her a rough estimate of what it costs. I mean, they would have to reimburse some of my labor and stuff. Would that be a help to it? I'd actually something I'd like to try and move forward with a little more aggressively, because that one there is a matter of
need in-house.
eliminating, yeah, it's a matter of eliminating a 6-inch line. So that's basically 6 caps. And if I have to transfer 9 water lines from a 6-inch to a 12-inch.
They typically change the transfer from general to bulk for those with that.
Well, we do that on an estimate of what we figure we're gonna spend there, but if that's, and not that I say you transfer whole 70,000, but I'm gonna dump 4 guys there probably for 3 weeks.
Theoretically bump up like the salary amount, I guess.
And that's what I'm thinking about. I know it may not be a lot, but if it's anything, something, and that would also save us in water fund, it's gonna save us in the engineering fees. And the other thing, I brought a guy in the other week who sells camera systems for mains. I can buy one that mounts into our trucks. We can between $60,000 and $70,000, depending what toys we stick on with it.
Like one of the little robots.
Yeah, same thing they're using and all the other big companies are using. It's just portable. We mount it in one of our own trucks and we run it out of there. And we have $100,000 for the slip lining and jetting and videotaping, and I can avoid a lot of that then. And from this point forward. it'll be
But we're
done
not able to
in-house.
slip line, right?
No, we're not able to slip line. That's saying we find something that needs to be slip line.
Right.
What I'm saying, if we spend that now, I don't know of anything at the top of my head. It really needs to be slip line at the moment. But we start doing a little bit of that in-house, that will save the 70, 75,000, whatever it may be a year for videotaping and getting to go out. We have 100,000, like I said, we have 100,000 this year. We hold off on that and we just buy the camera and we do the camera ourselves in-house. Let's be honest, man, we either have to find ways to start saving money and doing more things in-house, or we're walking down the line either.
Yeah, I
People
think,
losing jobs, emerging jobs, something.
right. The only concern I mean, I agree, more things we can do in-house, the better. The only concern I have is running out of manpower to do all that in-house. As we add more and more things. that's
Yeah,
An issue.
I understand that, but like, I threw 3 guys down there and in a month we had that put away. I mean, it's a matter of strategically planning when I do it.
Sure.
And
And I'll certainly defer to you if it's something you think you can handle with the manpower you have.
these guys amaze me more and more each day.
Yeah.
They seriously do. He takes care of line painting in basically a month and a half now, which used to be a 4-month project. They went on, they planted 22 trees in 2.5 days yesterday. I mean, the last 2 days.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, granted, some of the things is just giving a spread of toys to play with and they use, I mean, they went out and they augered them out instead of, we used to have to hand dig them, and it's working smarter.
Yeah.
But I hate to say it, I don't see no other choice but for us to go this route to keep people working and keeping the borough vibrant, I mean, to a point where we can afford it.
Definitely help the water.
And if it goes right, then next year I do the next block.
600 or 500 block of spruce.
I offered to do that. Dean's went out and did the, I had it all drawn up, but I was gonna actually do it when he found the grant for it.
Well,
we talked
we're
about
still
doing-
waiting to hear.
Yeah,
about
we talked about Juniata. I had the numbers. I think I could have done that for like 80,000, 85,000. And that was with hiring a trucker for 2 months to come in and truck dirt, 2 weeks to come in and truck dirt for me.
Are you, when you're calculating that, is that just materials or is that accounting for the manpower and everything as well? I don't know how best we do that, because the guys are getting paid
Yeah,
regardless whether they're working on that
Yeah.
or something else.
like down here, that would have been a 3-man job or 4-man job.
Yeah.
I mean, but down here, that would have been 2 weeks, 3 weeks I've been out of there. I mean, even at that rate of $50 an hour, for guys, it's 2,000, that's fair. That's 40, it's $2,000 a guy times that by 4, it's 8,000 times that by, it's 32,000.
Right.
On top of the 89, and that's coming at 300,000. I would have had that done. Even the worst case scenario, 130,000, 140,000, still in half.
Right.
The contractor's fees. I mean, the nice part of 6th Avenue, if we come to 6th Avenue, the intersections are done. That's the hardest and the roughest part of them. So I come up to each, I run a straight pipe in each one. 6th Avenue is 0 block. That's a 12-inch. That 12-inch was probably put in, what, 74? When we changed over to Western Berks. But they have a 6 in there crossing it. And the 6 is from 1940. I'd hate to leave it in there, and
Still alive?
6 is
We
still
think
alive.
so, yeah.
Well, we knew it was alive at one point. We killed the one end down at 6 and Franklin.
Hmm.
That's what I want to do. I want to eliminate that. But I gotta see, I'm hoping that when they did it, they moved the service lines to the 12. If they didn't, I gotta move them to the 12-inch line.
So there may still be some homes that are getting service from the 6-inch. We don't know
Yeah,
that.
we don't know that until we open it up.
Sure.
I think they
But
would
the
have
12 is
documented
good,
that in
or are we-
74.
What's that?
You think they would have documented that in 74?
I think.
We still have a big chunk coming out of the general fund for capital expenses, right? Do we want to touch on some of the larger hanging fruit here? As opposed to nickel and diming? Sorry,
I can see you.
I'm
Did you-
looking at like 70,000, 160,000. I'm looking at like low hanging fruit here for us.
Yeah.
We're arguing over $6,000. So
Well, before
let's
we-
hit the big stuff.
Before we move on, will you give me another 30 seconds on the business privilege check? We didn't come to a number on that.
Yeah, let's come to a number on that and move on.
If we don't like 240, what do we like? Professor?
I don't have that answer.
Okay.
I mean, I agree. It could probably go up. I don't have a good sense of how high.
You're right. It's honestly, every year you kind of throw a dart at a board with that number. You know, there were years past where we hit 400. You know, and a lot of it had to do with the hospital and stuff like that. So these aren't like historically high numbers to begin with. I mean, we have hit like almost $500,000 in a year in business privilege tax. You know, and then it went like into the toilet as well. A lot of it was the hospital buying up for-profit medical practices, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, we're not getting, you know, like one medical practice, you'll get $40,000 because of all the billing that goes through that office for like Medicare, Medicaid, and stuff like that. You know, and that's when you go to the hospital and say, you're taking money out of our pockets. Oh, well, we're a nonprofit and we serve the community. You're like, yeah. Anyway.
I think 250 is probably not an unreasonable number for next year.
No, if you look at just adding up our actuals for 2021 and 2022, we were about 305 and 304, 500, give or take. So already we're below that by at least $5,000. So you think that we're going to hit what we did, you know, the past 2 years,
We're also with Berkheimer too.
and we're with Berkheimer.
Right, so we should,
We should
just
be
that
right.
alone should see an
Exactly.
increase for us.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe 20,000, 10 or 20.
260?
260.
Or
850.
850? Is that what you said, Chris? 850? Okay.
We're throwing
You hear it here
darts.
first, friends.
It's a 15,000 increase over what we've had
Yeah.
actual over the past couple of years. So
So 260 is where we're at.
that's what, 5% increase, like
It's not
over what we've had before. It's
Right.
not too tremendously.
right. You're not
Sky.
Chance to
Yeah.
work their magic.
right. That's not rainbows. That's not wishful thinking. You know, that's realistic. That's being realistic. So, you know, swing that 20 grand to 260. I mean, yeah.
we could pursue the- Okay, so then
Yeah, there.
Do we know what page?
26, 25, 26.
Thank
That's where
you.
capital fund expenses start.
I did put in.
The first two, I had a conversation with them, like everything back over, they finally gave me a delivery date of expectation date of shipping is January 29th. So if we have money sitting in there for that, we're gonna have to probably carry that over to next year.
Yes, I did do that.
All right.
But this year, he said to keep it at the 8,550.
All right,
That does include paying for a third of the door. We have to put the deposit up.
Okay.
But we had that negative 21, that 21,000 on credit because we put the money we got back from the.
yeah.
So low there. And then next year in 2024 for them, I have 59,000 for the second door and then 36 is the balance for the first.
Awesome.
So that, yeah. So that,
You know what I'm gonna say, right? We do have a certain somebody that promised to help pay for that bay door.
Oh, we talked about that yesterday
Did we
too.
add any of that in?
Yeah.
Actually?
we
Oh, you didn't yet?
Western Berks has offered to help pay for the bay door.
Yeah, whatever half of the door is.
28.5.
It was actually 50.
So maybe at least 25.
Hmm.
What's the 57 listed there? In the notes. New bay door 57.
Yeah, well, that's what we were talking about, the 57, but when they didn't actually give me an invoice for the first door, but they took 30%, the 30% down payment. If you do the math, it adds up to 50,000 is the full payment then, if you take the 30%.
Okay.
So that's why I'm thinking it's gonna be 50, but I didn't actually see the invoice yet. You don't know, Gary, didn't give you a. total.
No, the only thing I know, they said 57 when I talked to them, but I,
30%.
yeah,
50 would have been a whole.
yeah.
Yeah.
Moving the right direction.
Do we want to touch on anything with highways?
I did have one question. So we're proposing paving on Fifth next year from Oak Terrace up to Penn.
Yeah.
Are we reasonably sure that the work UGI is doing now on Penn Avenue isn't going to be extended onto Fifth?
I can talk to, hold a conversation, with them, about that.
Usually when we figure out what our paving projects are for the following year,
Yeah.
we reach out to Kurt Zelinski
Okay,
and let him know so that way they start getting their guys.
sure. I want us to be very sure before we do it.
And I did
So we'll
take-
not, it's a busy street to close down lanes and anything else for paving. We don't want to be doing it twice.
No. I did take 60,000 off of that, I believe. For my budgeting.
Up at 60 already.
And we're well under budget this year. It
Yeah.
looks like for highway capital.
Yeah, we did a lot of road work this year. So, I think we're a year or two away from really putting a good bite on majority of our issues in the borough.
Good. Yeah, I mean, ideally, we should be getting to a place where everything has been fully repaved and now we're moving into a maintenance mode. And it's a discussion, you know, for example, Sunset and Oak Terrace, the ones that were a number of years ago now that we should be
Yeah, it's
revisiting with
Yeah,
surface
Right,
treatments.
this block right out here.
Surface
First
treatments
Street.
so that they last longer
And
than.
that's with the conversation I've been having with, Chip. I went out and I watched it. There's a new thing to do. It's revised from what these do, where they did just,
the
they
fabric.
basically mill the edges out and they put a fabric over, which they claim, as long as you don't have no issues with the base, which a lot of our streets here don't, Spruce Street don't, Chestnut Street here don't. Wert don't have, I mean, you just see it's peeling off the top. It's not that sinking. Sixth Avenue has a base issue, so that's gonna be a rebuild.
Yeah.
But the cost to them, you probably cut off like 30% of your cost, 20-30% of your cost on these streets because you're not milling everything out. Because they're saying milling or hauling away is your biggest expense on these jobs.
Right.
Just milling out the edges and around like your manholes and stuff, and they're laying out this fabric. It's quick, it's easy, and it's supposed to give you a longer time frame. Which once we get to what you're talking about, you know, we should be able to do a lot more for a lot less.
Yeah, I would think so.
And that's
You
why I
know,
really loved again. I
the
think we're getting close to
microsurfacing
that.
and things like that are newer technologies.
Reading
that-
Avenue is another one that would be a prime subject for that.
Yeah. Good.
Is there anything that we want to move off of that, like Park Alley? seeing where sanitation sits. I know that it kind of gets hairy with what we're pulling from sanitation to do alleyways and whatnot, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, and I'm fine with that. I mean, and I think Grave Street, I mean, I love the scene the 70 there, but I think Grave Street's overpriced. You mean, so I think we'll, going into next year, at the end of next year, we're gonna have savings off of this here.
Yeah, I mean, because we're already seeing an increase because of the new contract, it probably makes sense to pause on alley paving maybe for next year.
When I do, I get the drag box,
I
I'll
was
get
gonna,
that.
I was gonna
Yeah.
ask.
I'll go down Mill and I'll pay it down the
Yeah.
paid areas.
I was gonna say, if it was flat enough that you could.
Yeah, we
mill
can.
out,
Yeah.
use the drag box and put down cold patch to. That's something. I know that doesn't really do much for the general.
Their quarterly trash bill.
I'd stave off some of that.
Let's see, what do we have here, building capital, 30,000 for.
We drop that down to 15 or 20. Is that just for windows or?
That's what we put in there for all.
I know you talked about wanting to try to getting some and doing them ourselves.
Yeah, it was just so expensive. You're saying almost $1,000 a window to install them. That's insane.
Yeah, you mean
In
for one
here.
of these?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Similar to.
Yeah, casement windows are always ridiculous.
Yeah, but
Didn't we talk about not really needing casement?
We started over in the police side, we were going every other, we were doing solid, and then we had to be able to open them.
Yeah.
and I think we were raising, I think we don't have the crank out windows anymore.
Yeah.
Crank out windows are more expensive and a lot more troublesome. So we're going to the point where you can open them and get a breeze. You open them up, like, especially like on the police department, he opens up his windows, people gotta walk down the side and
Yeah.
duck around them.
Yeah.
So we're going to the open standard window. They're gonna look similar to this, but
Right.
we drop down to 20 and do what we can, and then we just do it after the year after, you know what I mean?
I mean, the amount of times that I've sat in this room, these windows were open, I think I could count on one finger.
Few and far between.
I mean, it's just, they're never, they're never
No.
ever open for anything.
Well,
It'd be nice to have them just in case of a fire, or something,
Yeah.
somebody can shoot
Yeah.
out a window.
Yeah.
But that's why he went to the plan of every other, and like here, we might just make the middle one there, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, like one of those three opening.
Yeah,
is
and then just
probably-
watch them two fight till he gets out the window
Right,
first.
exactly. I'd rather
I'll
make
shove
that
you
jump than that jump.
Yeah.
The
to the
soft
tree
landing
to
when you
grab
get
it.
down there.
I'm still nimble.
We can pull that down, it probably definitely is 4,000. We reached out and got an estimate on buyback for the ones we have now. And they gave us about 4,000. But that's a rough estimate. I mean, we gotta put everything out for bid, but it's about where it's gonna land. It's probably at least 4,000 less.
Okay, number 38.
Yes.
Sorry, backing up to building expenses. What? I see in 2025, you're looking at a roof on the garage. Did we not replace it after the hailstorm?
No,
We didn't. Rubber roof.
Not the
it's
rubber.
it's
no.
rubber roof.
And that's not saying we need it at this point. We have a couple of leak areas and stuff. and
Yeah. I was
That
just
was
curious if
replaced
it was
in
a-
1998.
Yeah, it's about Rainbow Roofing did it. And it was
Yes.
a shit job.
Sorry. Thanks.
And actually at that point, there may be a consideration of it's a flat roof now. Do we just go off and pitch it a little bit and put shingles? Because shingle will be a lot cheaper than what a rubber is, and rubber flat roofs gives you a lot of issues.
Can we take down engineering capital expenses a smidge with yanking out the
You do the water and if I do the water and I do the,
Based on a 7% cost of highways.
but if we take, did
oh,
that come
did
off?
come down then? Okay, so it's 19,950. Okay. It's just like, hey, if we're taking out a road, that should lower that.
Chad did put in the grant, so we will set up now with the grant. Sidewalk program.
Do we wanna get that off the ground and running?
I'd like to keep it in the budget if we can, so that we can try and do that.
Get it accomplished.
This gotta start at
Right.
some center. I mean,
It's been 30 years.
literally, like, Christopher Columbus came over and we were talking about sidewalks.
And that's with the FMB, right?
Yes. Well. Yes.
Cause that was better pricing than the bond rearranging.
I think that stays for now.
That's it then.
Mike, did you have anything? You're not getting out of this unscathed.
Yeah,
But he
no, I
he did
increased,
go to.
I increased revenues by $8,000 and cut spending by about 15,000 and a half.
Look at that sheet.
Oh, man.
You go through it, there's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
Gress.
I
better.
mean.
Right, so.
Show you, I believe that's in the council packet. So, like.
All right. How this is set up, Jeanette, is, all right, so. Pool,
So, under recreation, community events, I have the 2023 revenues and expenses. So this year, we're making like $8,400, and the next year projected to make it pretty 13,000.
13,350.
Yep.
Pool,
Pool,
we
this
made-
year we lost 77,910. Next year we're projected to lose 69,900. This playground, this year we lost 2,200. Here, Yeah, that's
we should make
39.
23 now.
do you have that one?
87.
You have this page? 77. Okay.
It's on the table, I think.
So.
Buy side should go up,
Here, you get it.
make 5,000 more, 5,000. Buy side.
Oh, right. So we're looking at the wrong ones.
Okay, so then 139 was the
This is-
original projection,
That's the right-
Updated numbers. This is
and
not-
then
that's not okay.
save what, 20,000?
Yeah, yeah, from our cost this year for recreation was 139,856. Next year, he's projecting only to need 119,270.
Cut it by 20.
So he's gonna be trying to save us over $20,000.
That's great.
I don't know how much more you can do, quite
I mean,
honestly.
hey, I mean, the haunted house is a great turnout.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, traditionally it was surprisingly like you get there and there's like a line of 50 people and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, we got some
I
going
think
here.
We could probably, squeeze a little bit more out of that too, with some of the stuff I want to do next year for it. That's gonna cost little to nothing, but just some manpower on my commission's end to improve the experience of the hayride. Change some stuff at the haunt. I mean, you set the standard for that, you and Natalie. And
It was a good haunted house. It's scary, like legit. Like if you've never been through it, like it's scary.
well, she had a lot of stuff in there to use, which was awesome.
I went down there the other day to let the Humane Society lady in at the bathroom and frickin' the butler dude was standing there and scared the shit out of me. There wasn't even anybody manning it.
James.
James, they all have names.
The actors made it. I mean, Taryn from my commission, Christy, which was a friend of Denise's. Denise was in it. Denise's friend Pam. My daughter had a blast doing it. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. That event was awesome. I think we can make the fishing rodeo better. Playground, I think less employees. I think I know Dean, you mentioned it about the concessions after the horse sales.
Yeah, so he did touch on that.
That was actually a suggestion that Maureen gave to me, so.
Okay.
Yeah, we should.
I mean, there's days that we've had after 4 o'clock, like 40 transactions after 4 o'clock.
On the weekends.
Correct. So what I'm thinking is, do we kind of
15. We can do
appease the mass by just
We're gonna budget
maybe like you're allowed to bring outside food on weekdays only after 4?
I would say twilight hours. We can play around with that.
So, but at that point, are we losing? Do we
Well-
might as well just shut the concessions?
Well,
Now- Yeah, well,
You
now
wouldn't
we
have
have
them.
the actual information from Clover, seeing when these transactions are taking place. So if it doesn't make sense to keep it open after 4 o'clock, then
Friday,
yeah, I'd
Saturday,
say
and
shut it
Sunday,
down,
I'd
save the
say,
man hours.
Monday through Thursday.
Because that's probably where we're leaking the most out of
Well,
concessions.
people are gonna bring in food regardless, you have people that are sneaking in bags of chips. One guy tried to bring beer in on Labor Day weekend, I'm like,
So we
yeah.
cut it.
Yeah.
So
You know,
he had a cooler full of never highlights, he was trying to get
Put up or shut
get in the pool, so it's like, oh, yeah.
I'll hold that for you.
It's gone.
KT, did you find out anything more about swapping over to saltwater to save on chemical expense?
I got, the one guy was extremely expensive. That's one of my off-season things. I'm gonna start, going around, getting somebody in here. So I can take him down there and let him walk through the place and stuff. I really think that's something we gonna need to do in the future if I have to figure out how to do it myself in-house. Just a matter of getting the ionizers in them lines. Do we wanna, and I don't know if it makes a big effect, do we wanna look at purchasing the camera for the sewers and then backing off? I have $100,000 in there for sewer work. Do we wanna look at purchasing that and taking away the 100,000?
Was that all that the 100,000 was needed for? Was it all
It was 50,000 for a videotape and jetting and 50,000 for slip lining, but really,
Are you able to jet the mains now? With
yeah,
the
I've been
equipment you
jetting
have?
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so,
own jet. It's something in the future, probably another 3-4 years down the line I have to replace, but
so we're not really bringing anyone in to do that anymore.
no, been doing in-house. A lot of things we've been trying to cut corners. I gave back Aerogas to gas tanks. That was costing us $1,200 a year, and I can buy them for $1,200, so I don't lease them no more. Told you before, we cut out the guys who come in that used to inspect the pump station, test the meters. Every time we got rid of the vac guys. I mean, we're trying to see where we can, and I think this may be an area where it may not be much, maybe 25,000-30,000 towards the budget if we go out and buy it and take that money back. I mean, but that's something that's up to use.
I think that makes sense. I mean, it's not something like that, back to what I was saying earlier, where the more you take on, the more pressure is on your staff. That's a piece of equipment that is something you're using when you need to.
Yeah, and I can,
If
and I have a
not-
little slow time, I can send them out, you know what I mean, for
Yeah.
a week, hey, let's go videotape this section here, this. We had a good chunk of it videotaped 2 years ago. I have all the documents, all the papers, what they did, and I can say, okay, they didn't hit Summit, we'll go hit Summit, you know. We have a week of slow time, we'll jet and we'll run the camera up through Summit, you know.
Can you use that for storm sewers too?
Yep,
I know there were certain spots that they weren't able to hit, but they basically just put big giant question marks.
Hmm.
Or made it out worse than you were just
Yeah.
like, yeah, these are not that bad. They just
yeah,
can't see
the
it with
engineers,
camera.
because he said, yeah, the one that was was the drop basin there at, no, Seventh and Cherries did the other year. They said they blew it up. It was shot, but it was from the view that they had in there. When you opened it up. The ones that we fixed the one there. We fixed the one on that they were concerned about on Spruce Street that year. 3 or 4.
Sycamore coming off the alley.
Yeah, we did the one on
As long as they're not too deep, then the guys,
yeah, I'll dig them.
Yeah.
But anything's 10, 12 feet deep. I did that one that was 14. It's
that's
wasn't really
pushing
enjoyed
it.
about.
Do we have a trench box?
Yes.
We do.
We have one in the future. I'd like to buy another because it's just one. What is it? 8x4, 8x5. We bought that 2 years ago for last year $8,650. I believe the cost was.
After Western Berks.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were like, oh, we should have one of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
Well, there's that safety
Unseen
safety grant that's out
Yeah.
there. We need to use that and get something with it. What's that?
Yeah, that's what we're just talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what we're just talking about purchasing more. And we're down with
2,500.
I don't know, I had my guys down with the city yesterday. We cut it into a manhole for them. I don't know if anybody's over in the city side of our playground.
Oh, yeah, in the field that's
Yeah.
been dug up.
Yeah, they're gonna have to come back and finally, they should have it backfilled now.
What was that for? Sewer?
Storm sewer. And another me and Tim call time. They had 2 lines going out there, and when they repaved the road, they changed the pitch. So it's flooding that one corner house. Because that catch basin never flooded, never drained, well, it hasn't drained for years. But because the road was pitched the other way, it used to go, there's 2 storm lines that go out. And the one goes all the way out into the far corner. They started digging. I said to the guy, I said, 10-1 that got blocked down there. Why do you think that? And I said, well, when they changed it, when they took out the dams, I said, change the structure of the creek. We had some areas that went deeper this way and some went that way. He said, funny you say, we'll walk, we found an area, it's always wet down there, but we don't know why. So that's what ended up happening. I backed up from all the way over there to the other one. I mean, it was solid. So they cut it and they dumped it into the other one. Now both dump out closer to the bridge. If you go down that bridge, look over. But there was a manhole there and they couldn't cut into. My guys went down, they cut into that for them and helped them get in there so they can get out of there. We can have our field back.
Nice. I mean, I think it makes sense. I'd be willing to, if we don't feel that there's any slip lining specifically that we're gonna need next year, utilize that to get the equipment.
And that
Do the
could be a
videoing ourselves.
$30,000 savings to us,
Yeah.
$35,000 savings to our budget.
I mean, we can check with another municipality too to see if they want to go halvesies on it.
I already had that conversation with Wyomissing. I had that conversation already. I didn't want to
And?
get into it. I get,
Are they interested?
the assistant is, Babs in retirement mode. We outsource it. We ain't changing that. But I think
That's
once
fine.
we make a decision here, that was something I'd talk directly with Babs.
Well, they can rent it from us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They can pay our guys to go over there and use it for them.
There you go.
I can talk to them.
$500 an hour.
I think Bab, every time you talk to Babs, you know, like, we had that study done on, Todd came in, and did the study
Yeah.
for New Holland and Holland Square, and so I called over to Babs and was, hey, listen, he said he's going to do this, you know. He's here, why don't you come over, he'll do your side for free as well, you know. It's a police thing, ain't my thing. I ain't worried about it. So when Todd came, Top said, that's ridiculous. He said, I'm gonna do it, and then Dean's gonna take it to Michelle.
Yeah.
He said they should be done as the same as yours because there's no confusion.
Right. And now they have it in writing, so if something
Yeah.
happens and they didn't do it, that's on them.
Yeah, the Bab's pretty much in retirement mode. Is that did you get a chance to change that one then, Jeanette?
On the trash.
Okay, that was for sewer.
Water. or
A
sewer.
sewer, wait, yeah, where is it? Put my glasses on. 0848
From 100,000 to.
We'll take that down to 70. And is that also tied to the engineering then? It's not, okay.
Yeah,
That's already been made. For sure.
think so.
But I won't need engineering for that. 100,000 I had in there, I won't need engineering for.
Well,
Yeah, that's why I said it.
I thought I looked at it yesterday.
like we have water monitoring.
Yeah, if I do the water line myself, we won't need the engineering for that neither.
Next year, shouldn't stay 50.
Yeah, that should be fair.
Did we change the water line project?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's probably maybe an extra 10. I mean, there
Yeah,
might
we're
be
going
some
to take,
attrition that people must know,
take 70,000 off the water project.
Vastly going to expand revenue there by bumping it up. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
'Cause we had 100,000 in for, yeah,
It's not much. It's 10, 12 grand.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But you also have to account for the BS split then.
Yep.
So I was looking at parking meter revenue. We have it bumping up from $1 to $1.25 per hour in 2024, but we didn't make any adjustment for increased revenue.
It actually was, we're charging $1.25 this year, right?
Yeah, that was,
All right.
when
That
when
was
we,
2023.
I forgot about it. When we, Mark and I sat with that new company, they moved it up to $1.25 right off the bat. We just missed it in the fee schedule. That's why we fixed the fee schedule.
Gotcha. All right, there it is then. So that is bumped up.
So I was looking on the trash fund, and we did not have to raise the rates to 120 a quarter, we went 100 a quarter. Because this year, we budgeted 100,000 for alleys, we only spent 75.
Mhm.
Next year, we wiped it out, so we do not to.
you increase a little bit though, or no?
Good.
Just even instead of 20,
I
maybe
guess, yeah,
10.
what does that mean for 2025?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't wanna,
Is it?
I don't want it
Cut
to
your nose
jump.
off, despite your
Yeah.
face.
great, we
wanted
kept
to
it 100 this year.
Double.
Oh no,
Yay.
we're raising it to 120 next year.
Yeah, sitting here
Or
next year.
200.
Whereas we could just have it at 110 if we needed to, and then,
Okay, so for this year, we should end at 100,000 instead of 84,000. So starting with the six, we'll have that, so that's 46,000.
So we're eating into our balance next year by not raising it.
Yes, because we don't have one.
If we raised it to 10, what's that give us? In 17,000, 60,000 roughly.
balanced.
Actually went up a little bit.
$40 a year.
And I think it would prevent you from having to raise it in 2020.
Yes, I think
Yeah,
in combination with that, the following year, we keep it level and hopefully that allows us to do the alleys. Where are we on alleys as far as how many do we have left?
Whole bunch. It's stupid at this point. We have Park Alley. We have this one down here between Spruce, Wayne.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one's pretty ugly.
Yeah, that one's
That one's
ugly. I
pretty
gotta get
ugly.
to that one. We're getting a real good bite on them.
Good.
To Chris's earlier point about when we pave streets and paving alleys, going back and trying to do maintenance on the alleys, like, I mean, I'm thinking of my own alley that was repaved now, it's been probably 15 years.
At least.
And, you know, it could probably use a little,
Crack ceiling.
absolutely.
And it's all oxidized at this point, so we want to get that all sealed back
You know,
up.
and I'm just
With like
thinking,
a-
yeah, and my alley's
like
not the only
versus-
one, you know, so it's like, you know, 20 years from now, and now you're doing like a whole nother, you're doing a rebuild again, you know.
And I think that's something we've missed. Just in the.
In
borough
general.
overall, like we've
Oh,
never,
yeah.
we've never done that.
Yeah, no, we paved and like
And
it
we
was like a
get
set it and forget it, walk
30
away from
years
it.
out of them maybe, but
Yeah,
if we can
Let's get
extend that
40.
another 10,
Yeah.
20.
Yeah, I mean, there should be a program in place for, you know, things that get repaved, checking them, I don't know, within 5 years or whatever the window is to go back and
Yeah.
patch it up a little bit, seal up the
5 to
cracks
7 years.
or
I
whatever.
reach out to some of these crack sealing companies and see, I had one come in and give me a quote this year for if I was gonna do some patching, I was gonna have him do it to hold over. And he was at $1 a foot. But
Yeah, I
and
mean,
that was
crack
only doing a
sealing-
couple here and there, but I wonder if we get somebody to come in and say, listen, I'll come. I want to do a mile's worth each side. What are you gonna give me? It's a price.
I don't know that crack sealing specifically is the right answer overall.
Yeah, but it's
Like,
all the
if we
same.
look at like Fourth, where we did a bunch of crack sealing and it's just crack
Yeah.
seal everywhere. Like that's not,
Wait a minute.
we get to a point where we just need to overlay the whole mat with some product,
Yeah.
crack seal, but
Have to look to see where we are.
I can give you some more options on that.
Oh, yeah, please.
Okay, I changed it, so next year would be 110 a quarter, and then 2025 would be 120. I was doing that, 2024, we would have a surplus of $4,063, and our fund balance would stay the same at $200,000. So we could really put an alley back in there if we need to. And then in 2025, I raised it to 120.
And hope,
And I do have an alley for 75,000 in 2025, so that gives us a deficit of 49,000, ending with the fund balance of 151.
well, we hold off a year and just see, because we have this, we're gonna start the new program. We're selling tickets and stuff.
Mhm.
And we don't have
Oh,
the.
Yeah.
I mean, like theoretically, some of that's going to be a pass through.
Oh, yeah, I
Because they gave us their
I just
cost, but
want-
also we realized then was that cost doesn't include the tipping fees for the weight of that thing too. So you might be able to, you know, grab a few extra bucks out of there to help with the.
Yeah, and that's what I want to see. I hate to turn around and it ends up biting us in the behind, and it costs us more than we made off of it. And then I did an alley, so I'd like to say, let's hold off a year on the alley, make sure this does work the way we
This year.
think it is.
For 2024.
2024, yeah, and then if it's working the way we think it is, or doing well, then we'll go after 2025, starting a couple of these alleys again.
Jeanette, you said the numbers for 2025 up there, you bumped in an additional 10 to 120 a quarter, and we're still $50,000.
That's also
That's
with an additional alley
It's
in
an
there.
additional
With
alley.
So if you take out 75, it's balanced and then.
2 alleys or 1 alley in 2025?
5,000 out of 2025 for now.
It was kicking the 75,000 from this year to next. So at some point in time,
Yeah, well, you figure that means if it was 25 to the good, if we're taking 75 and losing 50.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still where we
Okay.
need to be. There's a few other things that Cindy and I have been working, Cindy, I should say, Cindy been working on, maybe we can kind of control the stumping even a little further. It's gonna take a little time to see.
I think it looks good
yeah, he said that's with 110
with
for
110.
this year. And then we can play it by ear next year too.
Yeah,
We usually do.
Our contract going up so much, it's explainable, $10. 40.
It's going up a lot.
Especially,
I mean,
especially you look around the county, see what they're paying.
I was looking at what individuals were paying over in Exeter, with Zensky and Eagle and everything else, and the quotes that they were getting back were right along the same as what we were doing, but they still had to pay for bulk pickup. They still had to pay for recycling to the township. So their, $90 or $100 a quarter was only for trash pickup. And there was not a discernible difference between 1 or 2 times a week. There really wasn't. It was like $9 a quarter.
But I think as much as I say it'd be nice to do it, but I think you'd be shot if you went to once a week.
I know I have
You
one
get used
person
to
that
their system and.
fighting me on it. They're like, there's no way it wouldn't be substantially cheaper if we just went to one. There's no way. I'm like, we looked at the numbers that always comes back negligible. I don't believe it. Then you can look at the bids if you don't believe us, but to your point, what are you? You're
Oh,
losing
it's-
that day, but you're losing more than that day because then you're going to see people recycle less. They're going to put more crap in the trash. They're just going to be afraid they're going to miss a day. It's going to be big piles, not in cans, not with any lids.
Down the street then.
Right. It's going down the street, raccoons, skunks ripping into it, cats ripping into it. It's just so much more of a headache for the couple bucks everyone would be saving per quarter.
It's not much.
not worth it.
Yeah, $10 after all of that is manageable. Keeps it balanced.
Done with one fund.
That one's the one that bounces around based on contracts. The other ones are largely out of our control.
Well, sewer was good before, I mean.
Yeah.
What fund, end of. Or.
The Water Authority voted on theirs and they're raising it 12%.
Yeah.
That's definitely.
So our pass-through cost is 12% increase.
Well, we're gonna be 15.
Theoretically.
Right. Well, 12 from the water authority and then
Yeah.
3 to cover our expenses.
Correct.
We're still good in that balance, which is good. Work.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, Dean and I talked to Chip at the open house in Albright.
Mhm.
And he was very blunt about the state of affairs over there at the authority with chemical costs going through the roof.
Which is funny though, because for the water, it's going through the roof, but the sewer guys didn't say that theirs were going up.
Different chemicals.
No, I get it, but I mean, everything's going up.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just.
Right.
How's usage been going?
Flat, flat, if not
Increasing with
declining across.
Yeah.
all-
increased efficiency.
Yeah, across all member municipalities and who they also sell water to, like Bern Township and Kumru, portions of those municipalities, and the system that they own now up in Mooresville. Because we asked about that too, and he's like, yeah, like sales are flat or have gone down. So it's like, like when you've got leaky pipes, you get screamed at to fix your leaks. So then you fix the leaky pipes, so then you sell less water. Well, I mean, you're losing less water because efficiency is then built in, so then sales are less. So then budgets get blown up. So it's like this dog chasing its own tail kind of situation. I would still argue that more efficiency and less leak is good. But it'll blow up a budget. So
Right.
it's not just us. I mean, the hospital must have instituted a severe program regarding either loss or use or what have you, because sales to them are way down.
They get rid of the laundry So
laundry,
a couple
yeah,
years
Yeah,
ago,
that was
the
Right.
laundry really,
That was a big one.
they knew, but that was about 4 years ago now.
Yeah. Then after that, you went into COVID where everything had to be sanitized and washed and
Yeah.
so.
But yeah, still, they're using less and less.
Mhm.
So I don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it.
Well, the water savers on everything nowadays.
Where are we at on usage, loss in usage? Do we know?
I don't think we figured that out yet, but
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, you took Palmer offline
yeah.
in March.
yeah.
So my guess is you're probably using a lot of water to make chocolate in there. So, and as we Chip said, he's like, well, you guys lost Palmer and that's not coming back. So that's, a huge customer that just out the window.
Mhm.
We are also losing LST off of all those former employees.
Yep.
So maybe we do want to go back and revisit LST after that.
Well, we only put it up for $6,000.
Yeah, let's not revisit. All right. Where are we currently sitting at, Jeanette?
Water fund or the general?
General.
No,
Or
sorry.
almost 50 yet.
48.
All right.
48.
Rich, you know that my next ask is going to come from you.
Yes.
We've staved you off as long as humanly possible here, but unfortunately, it's
I get it.
time. All right. We have 320 in there for 2 new possible patrolmen.
Correct.
Yeah. I can tell you, me personally, I'm comfortable with 1 if they are targeted to replace the person who is currently in the drop program.
Okay.
So we're not adding on to the force size like indefinitely.
Correct.
I don't know how everyone else feels on that one. And quite honestly, I mean, these are numbers for like January 1 hiring
Correct.
somebody.
Yes.
So the longer that can gets kicked down the road, the smaller that number becomes. As
Right.
well. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's an unreasonable ask for the 2 officers. I don't think, it's not needed. It just simply is a matter of money, unfortunately. But I think I'm with Ryan on that. Ideally, I would love to figure out a way how to get that second person. I think the need is there. I don't like hearing that when guys are out, that we have a manpower issue. That's not good to hear, and that we know that that's the risk that we're facing when folks are out, whether it's vacation or an injury or whatever. So, I mean, going forward, we'd love to figure out a way how to, get more officers on the streets. I think the residents would understand that additional expense if it, incurred additional expense in the next couple of years. I'll said it 1,000 times, I'll say it 1,000 more. I can't remember a time when, when we had a tax increase or something like that, and I got asked about it, and it said, well, it's mostly due to increased police costs, and it was, okay, and they just walk away. All right, fine, and they just walk away. So this is not a town that is looking to cut cops or looking to cut into the efficiency of the department or anything like that at all. In any way, I'm sure you've been here now long enough to know
Right.
that most West Reading folks love the police department.
Yeah, absolutely.
And support the police department until it hurts. But that's a big pile of money.
It is.
it's a large chunk of change when we're staring down the barrel.
Right.
I mean, it's half the
A large
deficit.
deficit.
Yeah. No,
That, yes.
Taxes, like 2 mills for 2 hours. You never know.
Pretty much.
No, not that the need is there. It frustrates me that I know we have a need. And not to get philosophical, but I mean, it's tied to economic development. You know what I mean? It's tied to economic development, like, a broken window theory, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Strong police department, strong codes department, I just saw last week neighbors escorted out of the borough because there were problems on numerous levels, and with police and codes involved, they decided this wasn't a community for them because you actually had to follow rules. That's not who we want here. So it's important to have these things in place. We all know that. So I'm like, it frustrates me that we can't get to the level we need. But of course, we're listening to Ryan, and he makes a lot of sense for the first time ever.
My wife would argue the same thing. I'm just thinking, so it is, even if we were to start this process immediately, get civil service up and running, start
Yeah.
looking at
gonna
timing,
be-
you said if we're even looking at testing, we're probably looking at when they let out around June with the academy. If
Yeah,
we're
I
going
mean-
that direction.
Yeah, I would think even if we start the civil service process in January, I mean, until you get the testing done, interviews, go through background investigations. We're looking at probably close to June to get through that whole process.
It would be taken higher before July 1st, so we get the state aid.
Correct.
There, did you see that, that email I forwarded over to you and the mayor about the grants that were out there for
Yes.
helping hires?
Yes, I haven't even, I think you just sent it to me yesterday. I got it.
No, it was like a week or so ago.
Was it?
I'll double check.
Oh,
it.
okay, yeah, for the recruiting.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, that one I did, yeah.
Can I play devil's advocate here? Is that gonna affect your overtime then? I hate to see you take away one and his overtime goes over budget because he was playing on two guys, whatnot.
No, we factored.
Overtime, actually.
We factored the overtime,
Which is what you
into
have.
that number there, that 320 of what it would cost. So we kind of kept the overtime.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I
Went
didn't know
down
if
a
you're
little bit.
factoring that into keeping that down. Do you need to take your overtime up a little bit? So I'm asking you, trying to help you out.
With not having.
They're not having the
Can
two
you go
guys,
to
yeah.
The overtime.
Sure.
Because I think we kind of took that into account, the potential amount.
So overtime we had at 180 and then.
Yeah, we just dropped it a slight amount. Because that was kind of the concern, was that if it would be a couple months, it would. be
Okay,
tough.
yeah, I was just making sure. I don't want to see you get burned on it.
Yeah, good thought though.
Yeah, I guess we didn't really drop the overtime in anticipation of hiring, we just kind of left it
Correct.
higher, so we don't really need to raise it.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
So just talking through it, if we are at halfway through the year before we're bringing a person or two people in, if we were to do two, it would be the equivalent of one for next year, right? Two for half a year.
And you gotta find
And
it
then-
next year though.
That,
Then you
right,
have to-
and then we're looking at 2025 where we have two additional full-time.
Or it's about, an extra.
When,
300.
when is the officer that's currently in the drop?
2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
What's
what
the
he,
longest?
that's
Yeah,
the
that's the
longest he
longest.
has left.
So we'd be net one at some point in the next 2.5 years.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you want to bring on that person, have them training, and then that officer
Right.
will drop off
Right.
and you have a fully trained officer taking their place. Does that always happen?
No,
Probably
yeah,
not.
but I mean, if we hire two, whether it's next year or not, once that officer drops, then we'd still be net
plus
one.
one.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to belabor this, chief. With bringing two on, what does that give you with regard to the ability to deliver services that you can't now? Just that, is
It
that
would-
one able to be leveraged in such a degree?
Right, it would, bringing on two would give us, it would even out the squads and then would give us a +1. Essentially, we could bring back that community impact car. To do the extra patrols, Penn Avenue, when we have events, more community engagement with that individual person being their primary responsibility is to responding to calls for service. Bring on one, we can still do that. It just wouldn't be so much on a full-time basis. But we'd be able to do more than we are now, currently.
I'm just trying to figure out in my own mind, because I'm listening to Chris here and he makes a really good point. If you're halfway through the year, really from a next year's budgetary standpoint, you might be able to make it work. But then, of course, you have subsequent years you got to figure out. And are there other opportunities, other places that can make that difference to be able to leverage the effectiveness of our force
to accomplish the goals that we want to try to accomplish.
But you're +2 though.
+2.
You're
If you look at,
+2 for as long as he's here.
yeah, and if you look at
Right.
next year's budget, half of that deficit that we currently have scheduled would be those 2 officers, give or take.
For 2025.
Correct. So if you're looking at almost 350,000, our deficit projected next year, now it's probably changed since we've gone through all of this, but it was almost 712. So roughly half of that is baked into those 2 officers. That's what we're looking at.
Would the officer in the drop program be more inclined to retire earlier if we brought on the new person?
There's been that indication, but there's nothing stopping him from staying until the end of the drop program. So unless we get something in writing stating this is my, hey, you're bringing somebody on board, that's great. This is my retirement date to plan on. But he could stay all 4 years. There's nothing stopping him. He could tell us that he wants to stay or doesn't want to stay. He's gone as soon as we hire someone, and then, we're paying his 15% pension into one big pot for him at the end of the drop. So
That's the other thing you gotta remember. I hate to give you the bad news. You take 2 cops and you're taking 2 pensions on.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
I see the pension funds, but that's a hit.
It is.
and there's a pension fund that we are keeping up with, but we took like $1 million hit this past year.
That's, that 160, that include his healthcare, that includes his gun, does that include his?
Yeah, we factored
Everything.
everything into that 160 number.
I pulled up the 2025 deficit.
like, I wonder, if you have the 2.5 years and then that someone's walking away, right? Like, and again, I'm not sold on this idea. I'm just thinking of stuff. Like, if you bring on the 2 for about a potential 2-year window, you get to kind of get to experiment to see what that looks like from a manpower standpoint. Because someone's walking out the door at some, you get to like see what that feels like, to know whether or not what you think you need is what you actually need, because you'll have a data set at that point of roughly 12 to 24 months perhaps, to know whether or not that's really like what you need or should have.
Well, I think you're getting it anyways. For the simple fact is, you have one guy here while he's here, you have an extra body, because once he leaves,
Right.
then it goes down, then you say, oh, I need this body. This really worked nice with this extra body. I saved on this, I saved on that. You bring 2 in, you're giving yourself a false vision, and you already ate the bullet.
Now you'll always be looking at having that,
One extra
Yeah.
guy.
basically
Yeah.
2 additional
Yeah.
officers.
Yeah.
Right, the other thing is potentially, and this is what I was thinking of, that I just got yesterday, Dean, was, there was a release, and I haven't got an opportunity to look at it, I don't even know this out yet, but there's gonna be cops hiring rents coming out again from DOJ, so. And maybe you'll get a better sense of that if we could potentially fund part of a position with that. But like I said, I just got the notice that it was coming out yesterday. Should be
How do
able to
those
put eyes
grants
on that.
typically work? Is it
How
just
many
a
years?
one-time?
It's a
or-
one-time thing. It's usually for a fixed number of years. The recent ones haven't had a retention. I mean, there were some of them back when I first started, early 2000s, where you had to retain those positions for a certain period of time after the grant ran out. The last few that we had obtained in the city, there was no matching on the end of it. It just funded a portion of the salary for those years. So I'd have to see what this offering looks like. Sometimes they're for very specific things. Like I know the one in the city was just for school-based police officers. So
Yeah,
depends on exactly what you can apply for anything, but the emphasis is always on different topics. Sometimes it's homeland security, sometimes it's community policing, which if that would be the case would be beneficial here.
Yeah.
But it just really has to get into the nuts and bolts of what the grant is offering and if we could apply, and then again, what the retention is on the back end of it, if it's something that we can budget for.
Right.
Yeah.
Although the reality is, once we bring an officer in, we're retaining that position more than likely.
It's difficult.
I
Well,
mean,
once you bring
it
it
would
in,
be
get rid of it.
very, very difficult to cut.
Right, very hard to cut.
Do you leave the 160 in there instead of, I believe, if I understand what you're looking at, you're looking to cut down to 80,000, so your budget looks proper. You leave the 160 in there and that comes out where they're willing to, you can get the grant for it. The money's still there for that officer because you won't be able to hire him to June anyways.
And then I did see that there's a small change that you could make if you drop down to one, the shift differential and FTO. Looks like it was baked in with hire being due to 2 new hires. You could lower
Yeah, that was
one.
kicked up, yeah, for that reason.
That was 410,135.
Before I go down there, I did put out one officer and then deficit would be 480,000 this year. And if we only do a half a year.
Yeah, that would have been last year when we finalized the numbers.
Yeah, we budgeted a deficit of 359,000.
Okay.
And we're gonna finish with a surplus of 323. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah,
That's not nothing.
it's an $800 swing,
$800,000.
$800,000 swing.
Mhm.
Yeah, which is good. Your
Great.
staff is doing their jobs. They almost, not found, but reflective of the approved budget versus what reality.
And it's actually
Well-
better than that if you look at it.
Over $750,000.
We ate Palmer's. We ate $100,000 out of Palmer.
We had 105 out of Palmer.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, but that's with eating that, so it's actually probably $950,000 swing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there might have been some grant money that was thrown in there that makes things look a little off as well. That we were anticipating having this year, but they got booted to next year.
Right.
It's like that LSA grant. We anticipated getting this year, which we eventually did, but. Only other thing, Rich, overtime for court cases. We had a discussion with Sergeant Holden when he was in the position last year about trying to work with the district justice to reduce that specific GL code for court cases. To make sure that they're scheduling cases over at the DJs when officers are on duty.
Okay.
So that they're not coming in on off hours and getting paid OT.
Okay.
I just seen that one, we kept the same. It came in a little bit lower, so even if we wanted to budget down a little bit.
Yeah, and I think this was the first. This was new to break it down this way as well, because when I would look back through historical budgets, I didn't see it broken down individually, so. I think it was kind of just
It's the recent years.
that we started doing it, so,
Trying to really wrangle the driving factors behind overtime.
Yeah.
Outside of just scheduling issues, it was, okay, are there things that we can control within overtime?
right, yeah, no, and it makes sense. I mean, the more data I have to see where it's coming from, the better we can
Yeah.
adjust.
Right.
That's why we split it between.
Yeah.
We added the special events. That was a Glenn thing, wanting to split out special events, and then court cases was last year.
Yeah, and that's helpful because starting to look at the special events, I mean, even though it's only 2 years there, it gives us the ability to lower it going into 24 and then potentially again, on what we see next year once we have a little more data. But yeah, I think we can probably bring that down a little bit. It looks like we're gonna be 25-ish year end. I mean, 28, 20.
225.
Because the only other thing we have to factor into that is the increased hourly rate. So if we,
You're gonna take 25 one.
yeah,
Ellen, did we get the check yet from the Friends of Reading Hospital? Okay. That bill was.
Yeah,
sent
that's
out.
sure. Yeah, let's go with that.
People don't pay, but I think treatment is robbed.
Body history check.
We're gonna send her.
I will get the money.
18.
Cash in hand.
That brings our
We'll get her the
deficit
whole
down to $398,345.
That's
And we're
with,
still retaining 31%, 32%.
and that's with no change in millage either. That's with no increases.
Right. But I mean, like, what I find frustrating about millage changes is that it generates squat. Like,
What do you say? It was about 170 per mil? give or
right,
take?
like literally a quarter mil, you're getting 44 grand for a quarter mil.
Great, we paid for a car.
Right. Like what 1 mil, which you know, people look at that on paper and are like, what? Yikes, like hair on fire, you know, 177,000 for 1 mil tax increase, two mils, which like people would drop from cardiac arrest if they saw that. 354. That doesn't even wipe out the deficit.
I know.
Just to let you know, like how unimaginably low the assessed values are on these properties. Just like nothing, like you jack the millage and you get $2.
Mine's like 72 grand.
Mine's
Yeah.
80 something.
Assessed value,
Yeah, mine's like 80 something.
but I could sell it for probably over 200 these days.
Down a commercial property, $144,000 on Penn Avenue. I could sell it for 450.
That's what happens when you kick, you know,
Reassessment, 30 years
reassessment down the road, 30 years.
Yeah.
Right.
And current commissioners have no indication of, well, they've stated very clearly that they will not look at it during their next term if they're elected.
Yeah, right. Okay. While Chester County and Lancaster County eat our lunches every year.
Now's not the time. That's what I've been told. Now is
Yeah.
not the time for a reassessment.
Uh-huh.
Hasn't been the time for 30 years through.
Right.
You know, upturns, downturns, stock market booms, .com bubble, like nothing affected any of it.
You're right.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
I think the
wonder when that
second,
time
the
is.
second coming is when it'll be time.
Well, now home values are way too high that they don't want to do a reassessment at the high values, so.
Right.
All right. Well, then what do? Wait till a recession hits and then everything drops. Oh, we can't do it now because everyone's hurt because of recession. So, you know, just do, was it Lancaster County? Like, was it, they're forced to reassess. Was it every 7 years? They literally passed a resolution that whether you like it or not, every 7 years, reassessment is triggered, whether you like it or not, regardless of who the commissioners are. Every
There
7
are-
years, every 7 years.
There are states that do it every year.
Right.
And it's adjusted every year, and then local municipalities adjust their tax rates based on the updated reassessments. Whether it's up or down,
Right.
seems much more reasonable.
It's, yeah. I just,
But now we're in a position, even if they were to do a reassessment tomorrow, they can't reassess to current.
right. For,
Values.
I forget how many years it has to slowly roll out. It's like
It would take a decade.
something like that, right?
Get
So you're
up
not
to
getting
current.
back. That's what people don't understand. It's not like you go from paying $500 to $5,000 the next year because you got reassessed. You're not allowed to do that. It is a slow roll.
But it also doesn't mean that when it happens, we're going to keep the millage rate the same and just double our tax revenue.
Right.
And I mean, because we would be crucified.
What do they, I know
We
they,
should adjust our millage down most likely.
And in
to
new
account for
homes.
the new.
Sorry?
What?
new homes is what, 62.8%? They assessed them at
Not sure.
62.8 or
Something.
63.8.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, it's a weird number.
You
Of
build
the
a new
sale
house
value.
in
Of the sale value,
Berks
yeah.
County, you get murdered. You build a
And I
new
think it
house
was-
in Berks County, you.
I think it was
murdered.
1984 last assessment was, right?
What, the
Uh,
last time you reassessed?
I think it was 1984.
92.
Was it 92?
92. Was the last time they did it.
Jeanette,
Yes.
310-100, the real estate transfer tax, we budgeted that one about 25 grand lower this year. I mean, we went very conservative based on an economic downturn that everyone was yelling about. And we put 95 and instead we got 150 out of it. Are we thinking somewhat the same for this coming year with home values continuing to rise? Even
Yeah,
with
but
mortgage rates at
sales going
8%?
like they were.
Yeah,
They
they're
seem to
still
be.
gonna go.
They seem to be.
I'm not thinking crazy here, but just to
Fifty
shave off.
percent higher than what they're-
I mean, it was,
I know,
you
like,
gotta remember, like, it was really high because of Franklin Manor. Frank, that was over $5 million sale.
You get Franklin Manor thrown in there.
That was over $5 million.
That would throw things off, wouldn't it?
That would, that's, sorry to bust your bubble, but that, I mean, of that 150, I don't need, someone could.
All right,
figure it
they're
out.
150 grand.
The,
That's
the
fine.
dentist office on Penn
Yeah.
Avenue sold for a chunk of change too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that
Which one?
Chesed.
Fair and white.
Bear-
Okay.
They sold.
Yeah,
Maybe we just keep it the same then.
You just never know.
7.5,
That's,
yeah.
you just never know with that.
Yeah, well, we sit here every year trying to read the tea leaves.
That one
The
is
economy's Gonna
really-
do what mortgage rates are gonna look like, what home values are gonna
Right.
do.
That one's really a moving target. That's more of a moving target than the business privilege taxes.
All right, never mind.
Now that you found it, never mind.
What did I see in here? I'm just gonna throw it out there. I know it's not a lot of money, but whatever the hell. Fireworks. $5,000. Or drone show or whatever we want to spend $5,000 on.
I can tell you that the July 4th committee has not received nearly enough interest to move forward with Jack and SWAT this coming year.
So that's what I'm saying. So, to the folks out there that love to go out on social media around 4th of July and bark about what used to be, put up or shut up is what I have to say. You were given the opportunity to get involved to try to like generate ideas on how to bring back some form of, a 4th of July celebration down in the park. If you remember, you reminisce back when you were a kid, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, we need ideas because these things cost. We're budgeting $5,000. It's like, I mean, come on.
The goal,
I had
what
three
I would do,
people.
Phil, is try to obtain a sponsor to pay for it.
Right.
That's the MO. What I'm trying to achieve is where you look and you see Ole Fair, the Reading Fair, you have all these sponsors all over the place.
Like ROG sponsors a lot of
Sure.
Why Missing's Rec stuff.
Exactly. So, which is why I wanted to roll out that program where it's virtually a temporary sign on our A-frames where you go through Why I'm Missing and you see a movie, movie night, Belco Federal Credit Union.
Sure.
So they're covering the cost probably for all that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm trying to, get at with trying to get, a sponsor. to kind of
We can find a
put the bill
sponsor. I'd be super happy for us to be able to do it. I just, I get frustrated when we're spending money on stuff that we don't have to. It's a nice to have. What is it? Out with it, Lineaweaver.
I'm probably getting made fun of on a piece of paper.
No.
No,
Here
it's
you-
a,
They might ever.
no, it's a side conversation.
Okay.
No, I mean, I asked for help. I got 3 people who reached out. That's what we're stuck with
Have
right
they
now.
met?
And
The
I
A
was not
drone-
pulling everyone together until we had enough to even like form a resemblance of a quorum with enough community members.
A drone show's not cheap.
I wanted at least 4 to
Yeah.
6 to even start having conversations and divvy up responsibilities and.
So we got not even half that.
You're looking at a minimum of 10 grand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For what? 10 minutes
If that.
and some fun music and a couple robots flying around. Ooh, look, an American flag or then,
I mean, they can do very cool things.
oh yeah, they
But-
can. They're pretty wild. And so the price is pretty
Yeah.
wild too.
You
So,
know, you get the 50,000 real quick.
oh yeah.
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 I mean, you're always gonna have the naysayers, whether it's about the fireworks, no matter how many pieces of information we point to them and say, we were in the wrong for lots of years via fire codes, and that's the reason why we can't do it anymore. Oh, conspiracy.
Why
tinfoil
missing does
hat.
it?
Why missing doesn't?
Tinfoil
Well, okay, well,
hat.
then by all means, you can go over there and enjoy a show.
Yeah.
So, all right, now we think of these other ideas about drones or whatnot.
I remember hating our fireworks, to be quite honest. My wife and I would go out and mostly it was just us squinting and holding our ears because it was a lot of the super cheap, like bright white loud bangs and was just wasn't fun.
Yeah. Try sitting in the pool area watching and getting hit in the head with pieces of cardboard that are on fire.
At least you're in the pool.
Yeah. It was close. There were many years where I got hit with stuff because we didn't know that it's not safe to be that close. And that's not our decision. We're not our opinion. International Fire Code says this, if you violate that and someone gets hurt or injured, well,
We
guess who?
actually did have somebody get hurt though.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah.
The
and
one
then-
year, because they got burned.
Yeah, and your insurance company's asking you what the hell you're doing. Because now they're involved from a liability standpoint and they drop you like a hot rock because you were a ding dong and did it anyway.
Drop that to 0.
I would say as it's trending now, I would drop it to 0, but leave it in for future years in case this scares people into joining the July 4th committee. I'm not doing it
Yeah.
myself. I wasn't
Yeah,
putting it on the
I'm
backs
just-
of recreation to do it themselves
Sorry.
either. They have enough
Yeah.
on their plates, so a special
And if
event
you're
like
able
this, I wanted
To
more
get
people.
a sponsor to cover the whole thing, great.
But you still need
don't think
manpower.
we're
and
against
people
doing
to help.
something.
Good contacts at East Penn Manufacturing. I mean, they're always renters. They're always.
Customers,
Oh, yeah, they always.
I had a
they headline
conversation with Penn State
sponsors.
Berks,
Bimbo
Whatever.
might help you too.
Who?
Bimbo.
Bimbo,
Bimbo. Oh, the bakery.
Bimbo.
is not Bimbo.
It's not Bimbo, it's Bimbo. It's the Bimbo Bear.
Oh, we could probably ask FNB and see if they'd be willing to do something towards too.
If you can scare up 5 or 10 grand for it, sure,
Yeah.
whatever, let's have it. But just,
More than 10 grand. But yes.
I just don't, I'm just not comfortable with sitting in a budget here where we're scraping the bottom of the barrel to try to like save, taxpayers from a large tax increase, paying for,
Yeah,
it's just,
something that you don't.
yeah. And you try to get people involved in order to try to solve these issues for the nice to haves.
Oh, yeah.
And it's still like, oh, too busy. All right, well then like you don't get your money. Sorry.
Are we still leaving the revenue in the 4th of July contributions?
That can go out too,
So we're not.
The wash.
Wash.
give or take.
Oh no, that's.
Yeah, you save like 35.
I think either way, we need to raise it a little bit to keep up with everything going up.
I'm not against it. It's just frustrating.
No, I get it.
I
I
don't
get
think we
it.
can get away with it.
It's just frustrating because people look at the millage rates versus like
Yeah.
assessed value and reflect. And so it
really-
just looks like we're, the tax and spend municipality where all we like do is just tax people out of their homes or
Yeah.
whatever else somebody wants to, what smoke they want to blow.
I put it up last year and I told people exactly what my rate was going up. This is what my home's worth. This is what our millage rate is. This is how much more I'm personally spending on a budget that I passed,
Right.
with everyone else, obviously,
Sure.
but like,
Yeah, but
we're
you're-
raising taxes on ourselves.
Yeah, but Ryan, you're on borough council, so you don't pay taxes.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's what.
Forgot about that
You
loophole.
forgot about that? That literally was said at a meeting. I think, I told you that story, right?
Forgot about that loophole.
Water or.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a resident sit out there, it was like years ago, said like, oh, it's easy for you to raise taxes because you don't pay them. Like, what?
You're getting right, Chuck.
Looked like a Dr. Phil Jeff.
I'm just like, if that was every election, there'd be like 300 people on the ballot. If that was
Yeah,
true.
seriously.
How much? How can we raise it?
I mean, 1 mil covers the extra officer. That's what we're looking at with 1 mil. Doesn't cover everything, but. Or one road or however you wanna frame it.
I mean, how much should we cut today?
We started, what did we start at? Seven something?
70.
732.
732, and we got that down to 398.
Is the season.
I mean, is anybody gonna sit here and say like we didn't sharpen our pencils really hard in the last 3 hours?
All right.
And then I see is I think this is worst case scenario.
Yeah,
Mhm.
if the history shows the last few years, we had it where we were going into it with a deficit. And everybody that worked their tails off to try to keep from not going into that deficit.
Jeanette, did we add in the extra 105 that we're still missing? Did we have that calculated as a wash in here? For Palmer, the 105 insurance, or are we missing 105 to get paid back?
I thought it was in there.
I thought I saw it.
I know we have going out, but
Knew that too.
you know, they were gonna be reimbursing us.
Yeah, but is it showing in there is what he's asking?
Does it show? That's wrong.
That's what I couldn't remember finding.
Yes, I do have it coming in reimbursement for 01-389-100. So we are. But I put it in for this year.
Okay. It all got thrown in under insurance claims. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I was looking for a separate PL. Okay. Yeah, so that came in. Just paid it for it. Alright.
But we didn't get it yet. No, we didn't.
That's the same for the loader. Is that also in here as coming in but not shown yet, or?
No, it would remove it off our year-end estimate for
The
2023 and
207,
push it into
it's for the
2024.
rubber tire loader, don't remember what we,
Get it this year.
the grant
I
money,
mean, the way that it's already.
the 902 here.
There's a
By
good
the time we
chance.
get it.
I mean,
That came
all
out
that
in
does-
90.
it's just moving deck chairs, but
Yeah.
it makes the budget next year look better
Yeah, that's,
as opposed to getting. Well, it ends up being a wash this year.
Yeah, so getting 22,600 this year.
And 25.
yeah. Yes, yeah, but let's do this, should come back, okay.
No one who emailed, sounded like he
Yeah,
said he's like, he, I'm not sure who it was.
yeah, Mark,
Mark,
he,
Mark Schlapp.
Oh, okay.
he basically sounded like he was pleading with the insurance company to get it taken care of for us.
So. But that might slide into 2024.
That's what I'm
Which-
thinking.
Like I said, it's
Helps the budget numbers.
it's moving around deck chairs. It's just moving 105 from our year-end estimate this year into the 2024 budget. Won't change the balance. It'll just make the deficit look better for next year's budget.
Yeah, so,
Right.
you want me to put a certain millage amount in there to look at that? Well, I mean, it gets, you know, it's basically, if you can do half a mil.
1 mil takes you down to
What do we typically see for tax
220.
payments? Do most people pay in the discount period?
Are you sure? Yeah,
Yeah.
so I did the calculation, and typically 91.5% pay at the discount.
Okay, that's
4.1
really high.
pay, flat, 2.5 pay penalty, 1.7 don't pay that during the year. So,
Only 2% not paying tax, or 1.75% not paying
yeah,
taxes?
that's good. I don't-
Usually it's
Impressive.
only like 5 or 6 a year that get
Yeah.
handed over to the count. It's not a lot,
They,
No.
they are paying.
and it's almost always the same people.
Yeah.
They get they get threatened with their property being taken almost I don't know how you forget to pay your taxes literally every year, but
Uh,
apparently some people do.
My neighbor does it every single year.
Okay.
Every single year, we're like, is he gonna be sticking around? And every single year, he somehow keeps a hold of his house. I don't know how he does it, but smoke, mirrors and magic.
Yeah. Oh, well, penalties.
So at 1 mil, realistically, we're looking at closer to that 173.6 compared to the flat rate of 177 in what we'll actually bring in.
The number. 1 mil is actually 100%. Base 100%. 71,308.
Oh, okay, I see. So the table farther down, this one is just a generalized.
Oh, yeah, so, I mean, if everyone paid a discount, we'd get 170.
Or does your top one account for some people paying and discount, some people
And
paying flat, and some
yeah.
people paying
Oh,
penalty?
Yeah,
Yeah, the 171.
So it's a
shows
blended rate.
higher.
Okay,
she has a percentage of. So.
got it.
being a little bit less.
Okay.
Deficit would be 228,000. 345.
We do not have the Masonic Lodge factored into that, correct? We
Not
have it
yet.
subtracted out, but should they be made
Yeah,
not tax exempt, that would also,
until we know something better.
And I
Is that still ongoing?
Yeah.
I think they're done with depositions. So,
John Muir felt comfortable that it was gonna go our way, but
and how much was that? Was that 50 or 75?
um.
Can't remember
what was
the
that?
exact number. But potentially that could be added back in for next year and then eat away at that deficit.
Yeah,
Unless they take out the deal.
That's not happening. We're good.
yeah, but there were talks of them trying to go from, because of them pushing people out. Not to say that they weren't taxable, but to go from
Like the pharmacy?
40% to 6%. Is what scuttlebutt was.
Magically, they then opened their own pharmacy?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
supposedly that was an angle they were gonna try.
And that wasn't the plan
No.
all along.
Now with the school doing what they're doing, who knows?
Yeah.
So,
Fingers crossed there.
Would be something.
I was just thinking there's a possibility to have that added back into the budget, which then helps. So we have.
So Masonic Lodge is not, their tax revenue is not currently in there.
We removed it, but it could potentially be added back in. So
Oh, we must have done something when well, by the time
I was asking about Masonic Lodge.
okay,
If we
So
raise it,
if that goes back our way, we would add that back into the budget then. Right now it's removed.
right.
Oh, the 228s with a 1 mil increase.
Oh, also that. that I want to raise it back-to-back years, but
Yeah, you know. I sat here for 6 years in a row, we didn't raise taxes. 7.
thanks, guys.
Uh, But the budget, but we paid for stuff and we paved roads and people got raised, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and a lot of it, I mean, I hate to say it, was tied to things like business privilege tax where you were getting like 200,000-300,000 more a year. And then all of a sudden, within like 2 or 3 years, it was like, you know, there was at least one private medical practice that just solely was paying over $30,000 in business privilege tax through one business that vacuumed up by the hospital. Oops, sorry, goodbye, see you later. $30,000, one business. You know, and then you go back and you say, you just took $30,000 off our pockets, like we'd like more in the pilot. Sorry, can't do that. You know, we don't have the money. But we provide all these like fabulous nonprofit like services to people in 19611. Hold on a second. 19611 is West Reading and Oak Brook. So your argument is a falsehood. Yeah, well, take it or leave it. So now we sit here and have to scrape pennies together every year.
This year especially, it feels like everybody's been, not saying individual departments, I'm talking outside forces are all coming in, asking for more and more and more. It's only so much that we can do.
Right.
I kind of feel comfortable raising them, no, we're at it.
Very easy to explain.
Yeah.
There is nobody, no matter
It
how
would be
much
great if we couldn't, but
complaining and finger pointing they want to do, can accuse us of not sitting here
Right.
and doing our jobs to the best of the ability with the limited tools we are given from the state in order to manage these budgets. And Harrisburg should be looking in the mirror. For all these years, they have given us these paltry tools in order to get this job done. It's egregious. Unless you go the home rule municipality route, where you can start shifting around, you know, your tax rates on the fly, which is why people do it. You're stuck with these arcane tools, like you're trying to like build a modern bridge with like a hammer and nails every year, and constructing these budgets with these tools from, you know, the dinosaur age. And nobody wants to do anything. And then people out there like, what the hell are you doing? Taj Mahal this and raises that and rah, 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 my taxes it. Like, you should be screaming at the Judy Schwanks and the Mark Rossis of the world. Not that they're bad people, but nobody talks to them about this stuff ever. So why should they get to take legislative action when no one's like, you know, cranking at them for it? And then
Talk to Johanny about the one option that was kicking around in committee, but honestly, even though she co-sponsored and everything else, it's still in committee. It hasn't even been brought up, and that committee's met like twice this year.
right.
So, you know, when it comes to your local government committee at the House of Representatives, who knows if that thing will ever make it out of committee.
People all want this local control in Pennsylvania, which I personally like a lot. I like our model of local governance here in Pennsylvania. Everyone, somebody cranks about county-based government. I'm not so sure. I think I like that idea. But then let us be able to do what we need to do. Someone who is 35 years old at the height of their working career, perhaps, can probably afford to pay a little bit more in taxes coming out of their paycheck than someone who's 89 years old and is getting taxed out of their home on a fixed income because Social Security's, you know, like increase is nothing. So it's very frustrating. Every year we sit here and it's spinning your wheels. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing year after year after year. Well, guess what? Sorry for getting on my soapbox, but it's irritating.
Anybody have anything else for the good of the cause? So if we vote to advertise it today, it's still a work in progress, technically, right? She can still budget around until that 10-day viewing period. So nothing set in stone quite yet, but it does get us moving down the right path to not needing a second December meeting.
I did the math on $800 is what we're talking about, they bring in.
Said 6,800.
68,000.
Okay.
$1,800 to bring in tax revenue.
Oh, we were talking that it removed like 50 last year.
Oh. It's valued at $6,800. Oh, you know what?
All right.
That's by millage. I did it by 1 mil, so it's that much.
That's the additional that they'll be
Okay, so
paying.
Times the millage of 9 point.
That probably worth $6 million.
61,642.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so potentially that could get added back in and then reduce our deficit even further.
Yes.
There's a few things like that that could help. Also grant money.
Yeah.
We're not shy about that. All right,
We've been relatively successful.
does anybody have any other questions on the budget? I also want to get us out of here before noon.
Yeah.
Come to the pet parade.
All right. So at this time, we do have a couple of action items. First is consideration to authorize the advertisement of a proposed 2024 budget. So if we're all cozy with this one, to vote to authorize the advertisement of it. So it'll be up to 30 days. We can still fiddle with it within those 30 days. But there is a hard stop with the 10-day viewing period. So, somebody. For a motion, here we go. Motion made by Ms. Bressler. Second by Mr. Lincoln, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. On to action item number 2, which would be consideration to authorize the advertisement of an amendment to the general purpose tax rate. So right now would just be the 1 mil in real estate tax. Just looking for authorization to advertise. So moved. Motion made by Mr. Lincoln,
Second.
second by Mr. Word. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And then looking at the advertisement of the amendment to the water rate. So they put theirs up 12 and we're looking at a 15% increase, correct? Is that split? Is that evenly across personal and commercial or?
And do we still need that full amount with pushing that water project to you guys?
But it's only giving you 3%.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's giving me a lot.
Right.
I mean, personnel got raises and everything else, and that all gets debited out of there. Yeah.
How
That's-
we,
That's with the 15% increase.
Across the board.
how have we
Right.
normally split up the difference when we get an increase to commercial and residential?
Typically, we push it to commercial more
Yeah.
first.
I knew that we did that. I just didn't know if there was a specific evaluation that we normally do.
That spreadsheet.
I think
Do we know
last
what
year
our
we
la-
didn't
our
increase water.
Do we know what the raises have been over the
Last year we
previous
did.
couple years?
Really?
Because they're,
I thought we did it sewer and not water.
Don't remember.
was it sewer?
Yeah.
I just remember it going up.
Yeah, there it was
8%
water
last year.
revenue.
Yeah. But I think. where
Commercial and
where we had
residential.
In our numbers, we were comfortable not to
15,
raise the water
17,
last
18,
year.
19, 20. We haven't raised those rates since 2020. Really?
Raised water.
That's right. We did absorb some of the increases.
Yeah, we did.
So I think last year was like 8% that we absorbed.
Yeah, the water authority raised it and we did.
Right.
I think they've raised it every year.
Yeah, but do you know what we absorbed?
Surprisingly, there were a few that they didn't. It was like 0% and then 3%. And then last year we got hit with the 8% and this year 13, so, or 12.
Are those 2025 and 2026 rates based on information we got from the authority? Or is that just a guess?
I don't know how far out they're projecting.
I don't know either. They're showing a 20% increase in 25.
Well, I know they have a few big projects that they're working on this year.
Big capital stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, Chip was pretty doom and gloom
right.
when we talked to him.
Chips always didn't.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Everything's about to fall off the cliff. Always.
It's true.
I know.
I'm fine with trying to find a way to divvy it up between commercial and residential to alleviate residential.
Again, the second, in November again? Or are we gonna talk about this during the council? Probably the second one, the second meeting in November.
We can talk about it during regular council because depending how things go with the budget, I think that second meeting is usually just reserved as another budget meeting.
Yeah.
So like if we're comfortable with how this is all going, we may not need that second one in November, so.
We're splitting it, maybe 10 for residential and 15.
However, it ends up getting divvied up.
I can come up with different scenarios. Okay.
We good with kicking the can on that one while we get more info?
Yeah.
We'll table action item number 3. Anything else for the good of the cause? All right. Public comment, Maureen, Jacko, nothing, nobody online, I take it.
Oh, no, I haven't even been checking.
Still 2 participants. I think we're good. If not, they've probably given up by now. All right, close the floor to public comment. Look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Lincoln. Second by Ms. Bressler, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Oh, yay. Thanks, everyone. Have you out before lunch.
Thanks.